Lucia didn't expect that Dalen would be happy with her after she hit Victoria. She never expected to knock Victoria out with a single slap. How was this going to end? Lucia panicked a little when she saw that Dalen's face was expressionless and his black eyes were sharp and cold. Even if Dalen scolded her, she wouldn't listen. Victoria was provoking her. "What are you still standing there for? Carry her into the room," Dalen ordered. "Us?" Edward asked uncertainly. "Who else would I be talking to?" Dalen's expression was cold. Of course, Edward immediately got a servant to help Victoria up and into the room. "Go get the doctor," Dalen said to Edward. "Yes." With that, Edward went to make a call. Lucia stood there looking like a student who had done something wrong. However, she was still surprised by Dalen's actions. She had thought that Dalen would carry Victoria back to the room. He actually just ordered the servants to do it. This made her feel more comfortable. When Dalen's sharp gaze looked over, Lucia immediately stood straight, trying to look confident. "What did she say? Why were you so angry?" Dalen asked. "She reminded me about my father's death." Lucia looked carefully at Dalen's expression and asked, "Dalen, aren't you angry that I hit Victoria?" "Why should I be angry? I'm glad you did," Dalen answered. Lucia was secretly proud that Dalen was supporting her at this time. While secretly pleased with herself, Dalen grabbed her hand. "Did you hurt your hand? If it's swollen, you won't be able to use it anymore to help me." Lucia's face instantly flushed red and she withdrew her hand. "Dalen, why didn't you carry Victoria to her room just now?" Lucia really wanted to know the reason. She asked with a kind of anticipation. "My hand is injured," Dalen said. "But didn't you carry me when you were injured?" Lucia was not satisfied with Dalen's answer. "You're light. She weighs more than you." Lucia stared at him. "How do you know she's heavier than me? Have you held her?" Dalen forgot that women got so jealous. "Tell me, have you held her yet?" Lucia asked again. "Nope," Dalen answered. "Well, then, why do you say that?" Lucia refused to let it go. "I can tell by looking at her," Dalen explained. "How much heavier is she than me?" In her heart, Lucia was still dissatisfied with Dalen's answer. Lucia pouted with a look of displeasure on her face. Dalen looked at her petite appearance with a doting look in his eyes. He pulled her over and hugged her to his chest. "I'll only carry my wife." This was the answer Lucia wanted, and her face lit up. Dalen's mouth curved into a smile. After being overjoyed, Lucia thought of Victoria. "Oh, right. Is Victoria okay?" She felt a bit bad about making Victoria pass out. No matter what, she must have been knocked unconscious, right? "It's fine. There's a doctor coming," Dalen said. When the doctor arrived, he examined Victoria. Lucia stood by the bed, watching. She was the one who had knocked Victoria out, so she couldn't just ignore her. After Victoria was given an injection, she slowly woke up. When she didn't see Dalen and only saw Lucia, her eyes immediately dimmed. Lucia thought, why is she so obsessed with Dalen? It's not necessarily a good thing for a husband to be too charming. "Who carried me in?" Victoria asked. "A servant. Who do you think?" Lucia asked, knowing full well why Victoria was asking the question. "What did you say?" "Dalen actually had a servant carry me." Victoria had an expression of disbelief. "Why can't a servant carry you?" Lucia asked. "I understand. It was because Dalen's hand is injured that he got a servant to carry me back to the room," Victoria said. Lucia thought, she really knows how to find excuses. And the excuse was perfect. "You hit me. Dalen surely must have scolded you, right?" Victoria sneered. Lucia thought it was best not to provoke Victoria. The sooner she felt better, the sooner she could leave the mansion. "Yeah, he said he wanted to deal with me," Lucia said. "Don't think too highly of yourself. Dalen is only... Victoria stopped speaking halfway through her sentence because Dalen walked in. Feeling better? He asked. My entire body is exhausted. Victoria laid back, pretending to be more tired than she was. Then rest more. These words seemed to give Victoria hope. Dalen still cared about her. However, before long, she heard Dalen say, I'll get Robert to come and pick you up. I'll take the bus back later. I don't want them to know what happened here, or else Catherine will be worried, Victoria said. Up to you. Victoria lay quietly after Lucia and Dalen left the room. In fact, she just didn't want to leave. She wanted to stay there forever. The best thing for her would be if she could replace Lucia. Even if Lucia couldn't be replaced, it wouldn't be comfortable for Lucia to see Victoria all the time. Perhaps eventually she'd give up and leave. At lunchtime, Dalen and Lucia ate in the dining room. Victoria had the servants bring food to her room. However, just as they reached the staircase, they saw Victoria making her way down the stairs. Her movements were slow, and she was supported by a servant. Her body didn't seem to have any strength left. When she got to the dining room, she saw Dalen and Lucia eating. So she said, I want to eat here, okay? Otherwise there would be the smell of food in the room. I can't stand it. Dalen didn't say anything, and neither did Lucia on the other side. Edward glanced at her, but John still didn't move to help Victoria into a seat. Edward had no choice but to fetch the tableware himself. Lucia gave John a coquettish look. John pursed his lips and smiled. Victoria pretended not to see their actions as she sat down at the dining table. They started to eat. During the meal, her eyes would always glance at Dalen between bites because she wanted to take an extra look. Lucia couldn't taste the food in her mouth. It was like chewing wax. Still, she thought it was better not to be upset at Victoria. If Victoria fainted before eating, would she be able to leave? Victoria, too, paid attention to Lucia's manner of eating. It seemed that she liked to bite her fork. What kind of education did she have? Was she even brought up in a respectable house? Victoria really didn't understand why Dalen was willing to marry Lucia, and even Axel liked her silently. Why was everyone so obsessed with her? Was it because of her appearance? But with the status and position of Dalen and Axel, what beautiful woman wouldn't be excited to be married to either one of them? Beautiful things were easily obtainable, and there was no need to be this careful about collecting them. I remember that when I first came to the Patrick family, the first meal was made by your mother. I will never forget that taste. Victoria looked at Dalen and said, Dalen, do you remember? I remember. Dalen had that memory in his head. There were so many servants in the house. Linda was not required to enter the kitchen at all. However, Linda liked the atmosphere in the kitchen more, so she would cook in the kitchen herself. Lucia looked at the two of them eating rice and sharing memories. Her face was indifferent and she did not say a word. Back then, I was still thinking of waiting for my body to heal and waiting for Linda's cooking. She made the best food. I remember there was a time where Linda had also said that I would marry Dalen when I grew up. Even though it was a joke, I still remember it. Seeing Dalen's calm and expressionless face, Victoria could only directly look at Lucia with a victorious attitude. Lucia gritted her teeth as she glared at Victoria. Was she trying to tell her that Victoria was almost Linda's daughter-in-law? So what? In the end, didn't that have nothing to do with her? Dalen, I'm going to the company after eating. Are you staying here today? Lucia didn't want to waste any more time with Victoria. In her heart, she knew that Victoria's scheming personality was much deeper than Bianca's shallow and insolent character. Let's go, Dalen answered, standing to leave. Lucia glanced at Victoria coldly. If you want to stay in the mansion, you can stay. At the company, Lucia paced back and forth in her office, looking upset. What now? Cole sighed. Lucia answered, Victoria's at the Patrick family home. The mansion is getting crowded. Who is there? Cole asked. Tell me, why does an unmarried woman like Victoria keep staring at a married man, putting on a weak act and acting pitiful? Lucia was infuriated. You think she's faking it? Cole asked. Yes, and it makes me even angrier. Fainting every time I get angry, fainting every time I hit someone, just like a coward, Lucia said angrily. Who hit her? You? Cole asked. Maybe, Lucia said with a guilty conscience. I know you too well. Lucia curled her lips and leaned on the sofa. Who told her to stay in the mansion and not leave? You can't blame me. So she still hadn't left even after fighting? Her skin is that thick? Cole was almost impressed by Victoria's tenacity. I'm telling you, even if she was shot, it won't hurt her, Lucia said seriously. After getting knocked out, she decided to stay in the mansion. Dalen even agreed to it. Don't you think it's infuriating? This is very normal, though, right? Cole reasoned. What's normal? Lucia was unhappy. You knocked her out. Don't you have to be responsible? I also heard that the relationship between Dalen and his uncle is not very good, Cole said in a low voice. Not good? It can't be. I think it's pretty good. Lucia was surprised. No, that's on the surface. I heard that when Dalen was first becoming successful, his uncle wanted to kill him several times, Cole whispered. How do you know? Tracy Parker told me in private. Think about it. Tracy Parker and Mark were husband and wife in the past, and Mark is Dalen's private lawyer, so it is normal for Tracy to know about it. You and Tracy Parker have that good a relationship? That's because Tracy Parker is a good person. Lucia could hardly believe it. It always seemed that the relationship between the two families was intense. They got together for family dinners and birthday parties. Does this seem like a bad relationship? Could there be a mistake? Lucia asked. How could there be a mistake? Let me tell you, there's nothing strange about this. Battles within rich and powerful families are always happening, Cole said. What do you know? Lucia looked at him in confusion. You know it's true. It happens in every novel and TV show out there, Cole said matter-of-factly. The corner of Lucia's mouth twitched, but she didn't say anything. She was thinking about Dalen's gunshot wound and Dalen and Robert's conversation at the mansion. He hadn't been very happy. Could it be? Was Dalen's gunshot wound caused by Robert? Then if Robert wanted to kill Dalen, what about Axel? No, even if Robert was up to no good, Axel definitely wouldn't be in on it. He was such a gentleman. How could he do such a thing? Robert was ruthless. Lucia was a little confused. If this was really true, then the Patrick family was way too dangerous. What are you thinking? Are you afraid? Let me tell you, don't be afraid. With Dalen around, even if there's some kind of monster or demon that attacks you, you will be completely safe, Cole said. Lucia glanced at him. I'm curious. Why would Tracy Parker tell you all this? Cole shrugged. It was unintentional. I told her that Dalen was jealous of you and Axel because you were too close. Tracy Parker told me to tell you not to get too close to Axel, and I asked her why. She said that Axel's father is not a good person, and he likes to scheme against Dalen. Lucia sat up from the sofa. Cole jumped. What are you doing? You scared me, he yelled. I say, why are you telling Tracy Parker about me? Lucia matched his volume. Sometimes gossip is a good thing, like an information exchange. You see, now you know the dark side of the Patrick family. How nice is that? Cole was looking pretty proud of himself. Lucia really wanted to say, good my ass, but the more she thought about it, she figured it really wasn't necessarily a bad thing. If Cole hadn't spilled to Tracy, she would still think that Uncle Robert of the Patrick family was a good person. How naive she had been. "I think Mark doesn't want to remarry Tracy Parker," Lucia said. "How do you know?" Cole asked. "Would she talk to you if she agreed to remarry? She just wants to use you." Lucia was sure that Tracy was trying to gain some advantage through all of this. Cole rolled his eyes. "So what? It's fun to be in contact with my idol." Lucia thought about it some more and then smacked her lips. "Wait, I was wrong. I am the bridge." The more Lucia thought about it, the more she felt that something was amiss. She couldn't let Victoria stay in the mansion forever. What if she was on the same side as Robert? Would she do something to Dalen in secret? Lucia couldn't stop thinking about it. Lucia turned around and left the company, heading back to the mansion. She wanted to see if Victoria had recovered enough to scram from her house. If Victoria was strong enough to walk on 2 feet, then she could definitely leave. If she couldn't, Lucia would ask one of the servants to take her away. When Lucia returned to the mansion, she saw Victoria leaning against the bed with her eyes closed, but her eyes opened as she entered the room. "When are you going to get out of here?" Lucia was furious. "Don't you know that Dalen told me to stay here to rest until I feel better?" Victoria asked. Lucia was livid when she heard this. Her chest was heaving up and down. She turned around and in a huff left the room. Victoria got off the bed, walked to the door, and looked outside. She saw Lucia on the phone. Victoria turned around and went back to the bed. Lucia had called Axel. She whispered into the phone, "Axel, do you want to come over here and take Victoria back? She feels worse and worse as she recuperates here. Yeah, she fainted a few times. You know there's no cure for her in the mansion, right? Okay, then come quickly." After Lucia called Axel, she waited in the hall. Half an hour later, Axel arrived. As he walked in, he was still the same familiar person, gentle and refined, a true gentleman. So how could he be the kind of person that would scheme against Dalen? No matter how you looked at it, it didn't add up. Besides, how could there be a problem with the man she once took a fancy to? Wasn't that admitting that there was something wrong with her judgment? So many thoughts took up space in her head. "Axel!" Lucia stood up. "Waiting for me?" Axel laughed and asked, "Where's my brother?" "Don't you know that he's at the family business?" Lucia asked. "He leads the company, and there are days when I don't even see him." Axel smiled. "Oh, I see," Lucia said. In her own company, if she didn't come out of her office door, the people on the other floors would never see her either. "Where's Victoria?" Axel asked. "I'll take you to her room." But when she went to Victoria's room, she did not see Victoria. Lucia said, "Ugh, she's so annoying. Not only is she not feeling well, now she's even running around." Lucia walked out and asked John, "What about that chrysanthemum?" "I saw her go to the backyard of the mansion," John said. "Do you want me to call her?" "No need, we'll go," Lucia answered. Lucia and Axel went to look for Victoria. As they walked, she thought to herself, "Is this woman stupid? Didn't she say that she wasn't feeling well?" It was all an excuse. She clearly wanted to stay here. Lucia was going to take Axel to find Victoria herself so that she would have nowhere to run and would have to leave with Axel obediently. However, when she made it to the back of the mansion, Victoria was nowhere to be seen. There were only the lush and verdant forests and shrubs. Although the weather had cooled down, the leaves had not yet turned yellow and fallen. This scene stunned Lucia. She had explored much of the mansion too, but somehow had never come here. "She doesn't seem to be here," Axel said. "Victoria's unhinged. Even though her body isn't strong, she still likes to run around," Lucia said snappily. "Don't be angry. Let's go back. Perhaps she has already gone back to bed." Axel said softly. Yes, all right, Lucia agreed. While the two of them walked back, Lucia looked at Axel's handsome face and pondered for a while. Axel naturally noticed Lucia's gaze from time to time, so he stopped and asked, Do you have something to say? Axel, are you on good terms with your father? Lucia asked. Why do you ask? Axel was surprised. No, I was just wondering if all father and child relationships were like my father and mine, always quarreling at the sight of each other, Lucia said, trying to not seem suspicious. I don't argue with my dad. Our relationship is pretty good, Axel said with a smile. That's good. You're so gentle, unlike me. I was always angry at my father about something, Lucia said. Axel looked at Lucia with soft eyes full of pity. His hand couldn't help but touch her head gently. Don't be sad. Even if you quarreled when you were with your father, it showed that you cared enough about the relationship to try and fix it. My father and my relationship isn't so deep. Mostly we're just not so concerned about each other, and so there's never much to fight about. But sometimes I really want to fight with him. Talking is better than not talking at all, don't you think? Lucia was touched by Axel's gentleness. She looked at Axel's smiling eyes in a daze. That kind of expression, she thought, could melt the world's toughest layer of ice. It made her feel warm. Unfortunately, this scene was witnessed by Dalen, who had just returned. From a distance, he saw Lucia's head was in Axel's palm. Dalen's anger knew no bounds. He flared up in an instant. His face was ice cold and full of violence. Behind him stood Victoria, who had gone to find Dalen when she saw Lucia and Axel walking together. Looking at the hostility on Dalen's face, she felt triumphant. She reported, Dalen, I saw Lucia's photo a few days in Axel's room. It was hidden in a book beside the bed. If it wasn't from Lucia, how would Axel have it, right? I never knew why Axel would always treat Lucia so well. When Lucia turned around, she saw Dalen, who was standing not far away. His face was the darkest it had ever been. Lucia cursed under her breath. Although she was calm in her heart, the interaction between her and Axel still made her feel a sense of guilt and fear. After all, she was very clear on how possessive Dalen was. Lucia ran up to Dalen and said, Dalen, your brother came to take Victoria back. She almost called him Axel, which is what had made Dalen so mad last time. Why was she just adding fuel to the fire? The three of them could not withstand the pressure in the air as they waited for Dalen to speak. After a moment, Dalen's face calmed, and he said indifferently, Then take her. Lucia suddenly felt disappointed that Victoria was going to leave. Was it because she was scared to be alone with Dalen? What would become of her? With Victoria here, a bit of his attention was diverted. She would maybe be able to escape the worst of his anger. I mean, with an outsider present, his explosive force would be slightly weaker. When Dalen looked at her, Lucia couldn't help but take a step back. What's that face for? She asked. You came back alone just to meet Axel? In my own house? Dalen's voice was so calm, which was almost worse than him yelling. I just wanted Axel to take Victoria back home, Lucia argued. So you let him touch you? Dalen whispered. Touch me? Lucia's brain froze, and then she remembered that Axel had touched her face. Axel touching Lucia's face hardly counted as anything. She hadn't asked him to touch her. He was just comforting her. However, Dalen had just seen the interaction. Explain. Dalen threw the word at her. Lucia was terrified, but she felt wronged and said, Can you blame me? If you hadn't kept Victoria here, would I have called Axel over? No. Besides, we came here to look for Victoria. Who knew that Victoria wasn't here? Axel touched my face because he saw I was sad. You saw it, so we didn't do anything wrong. But what else did you want to do? And you're still thinking about it, right? Dalen said accusingly. No, all Axel did was stroke my face. You're the one who carried Victoria in your arms, Lucia yelled. I'm allowed to have a temper too, Lucia thought. Besides, she was also wronged, so how could she take it? She had just told Dalen the truth about her feelings. Saying it out loud was a relief, but when she saw Dalen's expression, Lucia backed off in fright. Then she turned around and ran. However, before she could get more than a meter away, Dalen pounced on her. Ah! They tumbled down on the grass, and Dalen's strong body pressed down on her. Dalen grinned. Lucia could not break free. It was as if she was nailed to the grass. Dalen, what are you doing? Let me go! Lucia yelled. You're really asking for a lesson, Dalen said. Lucia insisted. I do not need you to teach me. Dalen smiled instead of getting angry. All right, then there's no need to teach you anything. Lucia was stunned. When Lucia heard that, she was shocked. But then Dalen immediately swooped down to her lips and kissed her. Lucia struggled. Dalen, we're outside. People can see. Before she could say anything, Dalen was kissing her again. He finally broke away from her, breathing heavily and rapidly, his voice low and hoarse. What? Axel can touch you, but I can't do anything? Lucia was upset. It wasn't the same. Is he crazy? Did he really want to do that to her here? For her first time, it would be too shocking. However, Lucia's body tightened as she raised her delicate neck and shouted, We are outside, Dalen. Don't you like being outside? Dalen teased. Lucia's body trembled and her face flushed. Dalen had really gone mad. When Dalen once again bent to Lucia's mouth, Lucia's body trembled even more violently. She couldn't do this. While she was thinking this in her mind, Lucia grabbed a rock laying nearby and hit Dalen on the head. Ugh! Dalen yelped and passed out on Lucia's body. She panted heavily as she pushed Dalen off of her with much difficulty. He was really heavy. Lucia stood up with weak legs. Her body was trembling slightly. She really wanted to step on Dalen's handsome face. Lucia did not want to stay at the mansion any longer. If she continued to stay there, Dalen would rip her apart. That's why she had to run. Her backpack was on the sofa in the hall. She picked it up and turned to leave. John asked, Where are you going? Running away, Lucia yelled, and so she ran away. Dalen woke up from the grass with Spencer kneeling beside him. His face was extremely dark. He said with a dangerous voice, This is already the third time. Spencer thought to himself, Yes, this is the third time. We are helping you count them all. How could you let the young mistress succeed every time? Lucia did not run back to her father's house. Instead, she ran to the mountaintop and dragged Cole along with her. Hours later, they sat there watching the sunset. Lucia was chewing on an apple. She looked straight ahead. I say, are you really going to run away from home? Cole asked uncertainly. Do I look like I'm joking? Lucia asked. She didn't want to go back. Even if she decided to go back, she would have to wait for Dalen to calm down. It looks like you're faking. Usually people bring clothes with them when they leave home, Cole said. Don't I have the money to buy new clothes? Besides, that'd be a burden affecting my escape. All the baggage would slow me down, Lucia said confidently. I think it's fine as long as you escape to your father's house or the dorms of the school. You don't need to come to this desolate mountain, right? If I run to the house or the dorm, wouldn't Dalen find me? Lucia said. Don't tell me you want Dalen to never find you. That's definitely not true, Cole said with certainty. Who cares about him? Lucia was furious. Cole was shocked. You're really angry? What did Dalen do? I'm curious. He's the worst, Lucia said as she spat on the ground. Can you be more specific? Cole asked. He loved gossip. No way. Lucia chewed a few mouthfuls of apple and said, Isn't there a hotel at the foot of the mountain? Cole sighed. Fine, I'll help you run away. At this moment, Lucia's cell phone rang as she indifferently bit down on the apple. Cole said, Why don't you take it? Look, you can't possibly run forever, can you? Lucia thought, will Dalen's anger subside so quickly? But she still answered the phone. What? I'll give you 1 hour to be back here, Dalen ordered while suppressing his anger. You want me to come back just like that? I tell you what, I'm not coming back. If you're unhappy, go find another wife who cares about you and everything about you. I have been really unlucky for my whole life. I was bullied by all sorts of people and now I'm fighting back. Axel can't touch my head, but you can touch Victoria and keep her at the mansion. I even heard that you were engaged to her when you were young. Well then, just marry her. I want nothing to do with you. Lucia yelled and threw her phone off the cliff in front of them. Cole was dumbfounded. He looked at Lucia, whose eyes were watery with anger. He wondered if she didn't know what she had thrown away. Afraid of provoking her, he whispered, Lucia, you threw away your phone. Lucia nodded. I won't need to answer Dalen's phone calls if I throw it away. The nerve to have a bathtub? I would not sit in it. Tomorrow we can go soak in a hot spring, Lucia said. That's fine. It's not like we can do much here. At least I can play on my phone. What are you playing on? Cole laughed at her. Lucia regretted throwing away her phone. Then she blamed Dalen, and that made her feel better. If it wasn't for him, she wouldn't have thrown her phone away. She wouldn't have left her home in the first place. Everything was Dalen's fault. I'm watching TV, Lucia said. A while later, suddenly they heard a loud shout from outside. They both sat up in fright. What's going on? Lucia asked. I'll go take a look. Cole got out of bed and saw that there was smoke coming in from under the door. The smoke was getting thicker and thicker. What's going on? Cole covered his mouth and nose and hurried to open the door, but he couldn't. What's going on? Cole yelled. Lucia stepped forward. Let me try. However, it was useless for her to try. The door could not be opened. The two of them choked on the smoke and walked away from the door. Why won't the door open? Cole asked anxiously. Lucia was also shocked. When she went to pull the window open, she found that the window too was stuck. This was the result of staying in a shoddy hotel. She picked up a chair and slammed it against the window. The glass smashed and there was a large hole in the window. Cole, maybe we can... Lucia, who popped her head out of the window, was stunned. What's wrong? Cole ran over to take a look. Under the window were sharp wooden sticks that were stuck in the ground. The distance to the second floor wasn't very high, but if they jumped down on those sticks, they could die. Is someone trying to kill us? But who did we offend? Cole asked in confusion. I don't know. Lucia looked towards the door and saw that there was already fire coming in. Were they going to be burned to death? Lucia's expression was ugly. She was scared too, but she couldn't let Cole and her die here. If it wasn't for her, Cole would be safe at home. She pulled Cole over. Go to the bathroom. Don't you think it's smelly? Cole asked. We won't die from the stench, but we will burn to death, Lucia yelled. As soon as they entered the bathroom, a disgusting, intoxicating smell wafted into Lucia's nose, but she couldn't care less. Fortunately, there was still a vent in the bathroom. It wasn't too big, but it was enough for Lucia and Cole to crawl into. Cole pulled open the ventilation shaft, stepped on the chair, and stuck his head in. There were ventilation ducts inside, big enough to crawl through. He could not help but exclaim, "Yes, the two of us don't have to die here." "Then climb up first," Lucia said. "What about you?" Cole asked. "You climb up and I'll follow. Hurry, I'm going to choke to death." Lucia covered her mouth and nose with water, but her eyes couldn't take it. She was going blind. Cole stopped stalling and entered the ventilation duct and looked down at Lucia. "Hurry up and come up. I'll pull you up." Lucia began to climb, but her chest was too big to fit. She broke out in a cold sweat. "It can't be. Is this why I will die here?" she thought. Cole looked at her anxiously. "Pull your chest in." Lucia tried her best to push herself up, but she was unable to do so. The pain in her chest made it so that she couldn't. "Hurry up! Let's try again!" Cole panicked. The fire had spread and was entering the bathroom. Lucia thought, "I'll try again." However, she still couldn't do it this time. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't squeeze her chest through. "Stop pulling, I'm in pain," Lucia said weakly. The smoke made her faint. "What? Do you want to die?" Cole yelled. "I may be the first one to die because of my chest." Lucia lost her balance and fell off the chair. "Lucia!" Cole yelled. She fell, but did not fall to the ground. A figure quickly flashed by and caught her. Lucia's eyes squinted open, unable to see clearly who was holding her. Cole's surprised voice rang. "Dalen!" "Do you want to go up or down?" Dalen asked Cole. Cole moved into an unknown ventilation duct and said, I don't know." "Come down," Dalen said. The fire was getting bigger. The three people and Spencer went down from the window, and the sharp wooden sticks under the window were all removed. They reached the ground unharmed. Cole didn't choke as badly as Lucia, since he was safer from the smoke in the ventilation duct. "Lucia?" Dalen held Lucia and tried to wake her up. Lucia saw the person in front of her clearly and smacked her fists towards him. "Dalen, you're going to burn me to death, right?" "How could I bear it?" Dalen kissed her forehead. There was no longer any anger left, only pain and loss. He couldn't imagine what would have happened if he had been even a little bit late. "Then you still care about me?" Lucia felt wronged as she thought about it. She didn't care if Cole was there or not. Tears started rolling down her cheeks like beads. "It's me, all right? I won't do it again," Dalen said, holding her close. In the car, Lucia still had some lingering fear in her heart, so she stayed in Dalen's safe embrace without saying a word. The car left the hotel. However, Lucia still couldn't believe what she had just experienced. "Dalen, why was the hotel on fire? We couldn't open the door, and even the window had sharp wood blanks underneath our room. Is it possible that someone is trying to kill me? It's not worth it," Lucia said. "I'll look into this." Dalen's black eyes flashed with hostility. He covered it up when he said the next sentence. "Are you hungry?" "Yes, I didn't eat anything," said Lucia. "Next time, no matter how angry you are, you're not allowed to run away from home. Do you understand?" Dalen's face was serious. "You made me mad." Lucia pouted her lips, feeling wronged and innocent. "You're my wife. We need to work through your fear of intimacy." Dalen made her accept this reality. "But why on the lawn?" Lucia's face reddened. Dalen looked at her expression as she spoke. It really made him want to kiss her. They were locked in an embrace, and Dalen couldn't help himself. He leaned down and his lips met hers. He could feel her lips, which were like velvet, and feel Lucia's rapid breathing. It made his heart tighten. As he kissed Lucia's neck, she gasped. He said, "Remember, if you want to escape from me, you would have to escape from this planet, because I will find you in any corner of the earth." Lucia trembled. She didn't know if it was because of her body's sensitivity or because of Dalen's words. His kiss made her breathe harder, because no matter what, he would always find her. The first time Cole went to Dalen's mansion, his mouth dropped open, and he couldn't close it no matter what. "Can you not act as if you have never seen a house this big before? You're going to drool on the carpet," Lucia said. Cole immediately closed his mouth. He glared at Lucia. "I don't believe that the first time you came here you weren't also amazed." "I was amazed, but not like you," Lucia laughed. "Keep bragging," Cole teased. Cole only dared to be like that when Dalen was not around. "What kind of life are you leading? This food is so delicious," Cole lamented. "Then eat more," Lucia said. "In the future, you better not cause trouble with Dalen. He is one of a kind." Cole wasn't trying to scare her. What he said was the truth. If it wasn't for the heavy bodyguards surrounding Dalen, the women around Dalen would definitely rush him. That night, Lucia sat in the bathtub and took a bath. Dalen told her to take a bath. Basking in the bubbles, she felt her taut nerves finally relax. She had been terrified. If Dalen hadn't shown up, she would have been burned to death. No, she would choke to death before she burned. Dalen said that he would investigate the matter, but he didn't know if someone was really trying to kill her. They couldn't possibly want to kill Cole, right? Cole didn't offend anyone. But neither had she offended anyone either. It was really strange. When the bathroom door opened, Lucia was momentarily stunned. Instinctively, she covered her chest with a towel. "I'm not done yet." Dalen stood there. The light in the bathroom was blocked by his tall and straight figure. "Why didn't you climb the ventilation duct when you were trying to escape?" Dalen asked. Why was he asking? "I wanted Cole to go first," Lucia said. "Why? To me, your life is more important than anyone else's," Dalen told her sternly. Lucia thought, Cole is one of my only friends, and it was because of me that he was there in the first place. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been burnt. However, Lucia was clear that such a reason wasn't enough to convince Dalen. Dalen's dominance was not something that could be dealt with by reason. She said, "I don't want to be like this, but actually, I couldn't go up. I was stuck." Lucia blushed as she said this. Dalen immediately understood. "Were you wounded?" he asked. "Nope." Lucia quickly shook her head. However, her words did not stop Dalen's actions, and he ripped the towel away. An angry-looking red welt spanned the top of her chest. Dalen touched it with his hand. With a deep understanding in his eyes, he asked in a low voice, "Does it hurt?" I'm not in pain," Lucia dodged, trying to escape Dalen's hand. He let go of her and stood up to leave the bathroom. Lucia heaved a sigh of relief. After Dalen left, she immediately washed off the bubbles, dried her body, and put on her pajamas. She hurried out of the bathroom. Dalen wasn't in the bedroom, so where did he go? Lucia curiously walked out of the room and searched for Dalen. Then she heard Spencer talking to Dalen. "Mr. Patrick, this is strange. We checked the hotel. Everyone else's door was working except for the young madam's room. There was a wooden stick jamming it from the outside. Is he trying to kill her?" Dalen's voice was extremely sinister in the silent mansion. "I was thinking that it might have something to do with Robert. Other than him, there's no one else." Lucia, who was hiding in the dark, was shocked. Robert? Dalen's uncle? It seemed like Tracy Parker's words were true. However, this was too cruel. Dalen was his nephew. Did he have no heart? Lucia was absolutely shocked. In case Dalen found out that she overheard them, Lucia turned around and returned to the room. Leaning against the headboard, Lucia thought about what had happened to her. The reason why Robert tried to burn her was to deal with Dalen. Had she not been Dalen's wife, she wouldn't be targeted. However, Lucia wasn't the type of person to be afraid of anything. If only she and Dalen could divorce, then this wouldn't be happening. She would be free. Lucia turned over and over, sighing in her heart. Being in the upper-class society was not at all what it was hyped up to be. One had to have a difficult life to earn that much money, and it was even worse to protect that money. The more she thought how complicated the lives of the rich people were, the more Lucia thought Dalen was amazing for enduring all of this for so long. Not only was he alive and well, he was also at the top of society. When Dalen came inside the room with an ointment, Lucia was already asleep on the bed. She was on her side, her thin white legs tucked under her. Dalen sat on the edge of the bed. Lucia curled her legs up tighter, turned over, and lay down flat on her back. Only then did Dalen lift up her shirt, revealing the 2 red marks on her chest. After the shower, they had become even clearer. This wound caused Dalen's black eyes to be filled with hostility, and his face to turn dark and dangerous. If this was an accident, then he could have let it go. However, if he found out it was not, then whoever did this, even if it was Robert, would not be shown mercy. He had already warned Robert after injuring him, but he would not spare him if he had been behind injuring Lucia. If it wasn't Robert, then there was someone else. Who could it be? Dalen applied the ointment on her chest. Lucia felt itchy all over her body. She sighed a couple of times, wanting to drive away the thing that was disturbing her sleep. However, her small hands were caught and she had to wake up. She opened her sleepy eyes and saw Dalen. When she saw Dalen, she was scared out of her wits. What are you doing? Dalen's face sank when he heard Lucia's reaction. What can I do? Lucia was startled by Dalen's expression and thought, what is he going to do? Then she saw the ointment on Dalen's hand. She looked down and understood. Lucia's face was flushed, not knowing what to say. Just as he was about to roll down her shirt, she heard Dalen's command in a low voice. Stay there. Why? Lucia was dissatisfied. Dalen stood up and left. Lucia looked at Dalen, who went to the bathroom and pouted. Then she leaned back against the bed. Lying there with her shirt up, she felt exposed. Lucia thought for a moment, then covered her legs with a blanket. However, she didn't dare to disobey Dalen's order. It must have been because the ointment hadn't dried yet, so her shirt needed to stay open. She had just taken a nap, but was no longer sleepy after waking up. Lucia opened her eyes wide in boredom, her eyeballs darting in every direction. When Dalen walked out of the bathroom, Lucia saw the bullet scar on Dalen's abdomen and thought of the dark side of the Patrick family. Lucia also understood that if it wasn't for Dalen, the Patrick family would have fallen to Robert. Dalen has no children now. Who would lead the family after him? What are you doing? Asked Lucia, who had been lost in her thoughts. Dalen continued walking toward her. Lucia continued, Dalen, what are you doing? I'm hurt. No problem. I'll hold you somewhere else, Dalen said. Where else? Before Lucia could finish her sentence, she was pressed down on the bed. When she woke up in the morning, Lucia still felt warm. Looking at it in the mirror, she saw her face was still flushed. That jerk, Lucia muttered. Who are you scolding? Dalen's tall figure appeared in the mirror. You, Lucia said. Dalen was confused. I thought you had a good time last night? In the mirror, Lucia's face was very red. I didn't expect that to feel so good. If I were to really go all the way, would I burst? Lucia's face was very red. She did not want to have this conversation any longer, so she turned and ran out of the bathroom. She ran into the closet. Lucia was unable to calm down. She did not understand how one hand could make her feel so amazing. If they really did it, would the feeling be even stronger? Would she be able to control herself? But didn't others say that it would be very painful? Could she die? No, that was ridiculous. Lucia had a troubled expression on her face. Lucia left the room. As soon as she went downstairs, John ran over to her. His face was somewhat unsettled. Mum, I saw a chrysanthemum go to the back of the mansion. I just didn't remember when you asked me. I didn't mean to cause a problem. Who said you did it on purpose? Lucia asked, puzzled. But if I had said that the chrysanthemum was behind the mansion, the young mistress would not have gone over, and she wouldn't have caused any misunderstandings between the young mistress and Mr. Patrick. It has nothing to do with you, so don't feel guilty, Lucia said kindly. She knew that it was all part of Victoria's scheming. Victoria knew that she and Axel were at the back of the mansion, so she intentionally lured Dalen there. That woman really knows how to scheme. Lucia, who was heading towards the dining hall, suddenly thought of something and cried, "Ayah!" John ran over in shock. What happened? Dalen's figure appeared in front of Lucia in a flash and hugged her. Is something wrong? My bag! It had my credit cards in it. Lucia remembered she forgot her backpack at the hotel where the fire had broken out. Noticing Dalen's smile, Lucia asked carefully, Unless you were able to save my bag? Dalen nodded. It's in my room. Oh, I didn't notice. That scared me to death. How bad would it have been if I lost out on my credit cards? Lucia asked. John laughed at the side. It's all right. Even if we lose the card, Mr. Patrick can just issue new ones. We definitely won't lose out on any money. Lucia was shocked. Why didn't you say so earlier? John looked a bit guilty. You didn't ask. At this moment, Dalen's cold voice said, Where's your phone? My phone? It fell off the mountain. Lucia's eyes darted around twice before she went into the dining room. She sat at the table and ate with her head bowed. Then a new phone was placed beside her hand. This is for me? Lucia asked this question because she knew it was the polite thing to do. You can throw it away as many times as you like. That doesn't mean you won't get a new one, Dalen said. Lucia couldn't tell if this was a joke or not. She took the phone and began eating quietly. Inside the company's office, after finishing his work, Cole ran over to Lucia and asked, Did Dalen find out who started the fire? Nope, Lucia answered. Really? How could he be so fast then? He got there really fast. Lucia thought about it and said, Even if he doesn't find out, I still feel like it was an inside job. Really? Who? Cole was intrigued and loved gossip. Remember when we spoke about the dark side of the Patrick family? I think it might have been Robert, Lucia whispered. Huh? What's he got to do with the two of us? We're not Dalen. Cole nearly cried out in shock. Lucia put her finger to her lips to urge Cole to be quiet. Then she continued, Exactly. What benefits would killing us give to Robert? He would risk revealing his identity. Is he stupid? Lucia found it strange. She couldn't figure it out. Cole was also lost in his thoughts when he suddenly came to a realization. I know. Know what? Lucia asked. Think about it. If I burned you to death, who would suffer the most? Cole said. You? Lucia guessed. Nope, Cole answered. Lucia was unhappy. You won't cry for me even if I'm burned to death? Of course I would, but I'm talking about the most pain it will cause someone, Cole clarified. Lucia pouted. Then who's in the most pain? Cole dropped his voice to be even quieter. If you were to be burned to death, Wouldn't it hurt Dalen the most? Cole told her. Looking at Dalen in pain, he couldn't recover from the grief, and then he might get it into his head to follow you to the other side. Then Robert would win. Lucia's eyes turned to Cole. What the hell are you talking about? Dalen would be in pain? And he wouldn't get over it and would be ready to die for me? I say, can you come up with anything less realistic? Lucia rolled her eyes. What's wrong? Am I wrong? I've seen the way Dalen looks at you, and the way he hugged you and did not let you go after saving you yesterday. There was a deep feeling and fear on his face. He would definitely be unhappy if anything bad ever happened to you. Lucia felt unconvinced by Cole's words. It had been so dark last night, but she could still see Dalen's face. At least she thought she could. Why didn't she see him that worried then? Did she miss it out? Why don't you believe it? Cole asked. Of course not. If I die, Dalen will definitely immediately just marry someone else. Don't forget why he married me. He might be happier without me, Lucia said miserably. You have no sense, Cole said. Then he asked, Then you tell me, what is the purpose of Robert trying to kill you? He has no grudge with you. Lucia was truly unable to say anything. Other than her being Dalen's wife, there was nothing else worth killing her over. Cole continued, These kinds of people have mental problems. It's like, if I don't like you, I want to kill everyone around you that you care about. This is the most terrifying revenge in the world. Do you understand? Lucia turned to look at Cole. What's that look for? He felt uncomfortable under her gaze. Why are you saying things like this? A tear slid down Lucia's cheek. Do you think I'm wrong? Cole asked. Yes, Lucia nodded. Luckily you didn't marry Axel back then. Otherwise, if you had a father-in-law like Robert, you would definitely be in danger. Why don't you tell me that if I'd marry Axel, Robert would leave me alone? Lucia asked. She felt like that was the much more likely possibility. Aren't you afraid that Dalen would be angry hearing you speak like that? Cole looked over his shoulder to be sure no one was eavesdropping. Lucia was silent. Just as they were about to get off work, Lucia was playing a game when she got a call from Dalen. Lucia knew what he was going to say before she answered. Usually, at this time of the day, Dalen would only call to tell her bad news. Hey, Lucia sounded dispirited. Lucia, I won't be coming to the mansion for dinner tonight. You can go back by yourself. Dalen's low and sweet voice said, but it was not pleasant at all. Got it, Lucia said. I'll be back after dinner, Dalen promised. Whatever. After hanging up, Lucia shouted at Cole. Cole, let me treat you to dinner. Meanwhile, Dalen's black luxury car stopped in front of a certain residential area. After a while, he saw Bianca walking down the street, whistling happily. Spencer opened the car door and Dalen's tall figure exited. When Bianca saw him, she became even more excited. Dalen, are you looking for me? Want to get dinner? Get in, Dalen commanded. He did not show any expression on his face. Without hesitation, Bianca got into the car. In a residential building not far away, Tracy Parker, who was leaning against the window, had already seen this whole exchange take place in front of her. She was filming in a boring part of town, and she didn't think that she would see such an interesting thing. After seeing Bianca get into Dalen's car, she had an unconcealable expression of glee on her face. Tracy loved gossip. In the car, Bianca was thrilled. It had been a long time since she had sat in Dalen's car. Why did Dalen come to find her? Was he tired of Lucia? That must be it. He only married Lucia to repay a debt of gratitude, but not because he loved her. Although she was thinking this, she still pretended not to understand and asked, "Why would you suddenly treat me to a meal? This is so surprising." "Seems like you've had a good time." Dalen looked at her coldly. "No matter how good it is today, it can't compare to the past. To me, the time where I had you was the happiest of my life," Bianca said. Dalen was indifferent to what she said. He stared at her with an unfathomable expression. After a moment, he threw a photo towards Bianca. Bianca took the photo. When she saw what was in the photo, her expression changed. How could this be?" Bianca trailed off. "Unimaginable." Dalen's voice was so cold. I don't know how this photo exists. I don't know anything." After the shock, Bianca tried to calm down and cover it up. "You don't need to explain because there's nothing I can't find out," Dalen said with a warning. Bianca's face was pale as she stared at the photos in her hands in a daze, unable to say a word. "When you came back, I gave you quite a lot. I gave you so much money that I thought you could see the reality. It seems that it's my fault for letting you take my money, only to hurt the people I care about." Dalen's voice was calm, as if he was narrating a story. Bianca, on the other hand, tensed up and trembled in fear. "Do you want to die?" Dalen asked coldly. Bianca was so frightened that she directly fell off her seat. I don't want to die. This time, I didn't dare to do it. I wouldn't do this again. Please, don't. I'm begging you." "When you wanted her to die, didn't you think of this?" Dalen grabbed Bianca's face and lifted it up forcefully. His black eyes were filled with a sinister light. "You shouldn't have a face like her. You don't deserve it." Bianca's face instantly turned ashen. Lucia and Cole were sitting together. Cole asked, "Shall we go out after dinner?" "What do you want? It's getting kind of late," Lucia said. "Just look around. Isn't this what we should do at our age? Dalen would definitely not come back so early," Cole said convincingly. "True." After dinner, the two prepared to go shopping. They went to a high-end store called Tam's. It was a place that stored all designer items in one location. As soon as she entered, she found the person she really wanted to kick and slap in the face. Victoria. Victoria was looking at the bags and just gazing around the store. When Lucia entered, she saw the cold expression on Victoria's face. "Who would be happy to see you?" Lucia thought to herself. Keeping a cold face is the right thing to do. Lucia and Cole browsed through the bag section as well. Coincidentally, Lucia and Victoria had taken a fancy to the same bag. When Lucia reached to take it, Victoria also grabbed it. "Are you sure you want to fight with me for it?" Lucia pulled the bag over to her. Victoria was so angry that her face turned ugly. "You better take a look at the price. Is Dalen really giving you enough pocket money to buy it?" Lucia found that question very interesting and asked, "How much pocket money do you think Dalen gives me every month?" "Not enough to afford something like this," Victoria said confidently. "So confident?" Lucia looked Victoria up and down and asked, "Let me ask you, how much pocket money do you get?" "I don't need pocket money. My parents left me enough money to spend for the rest of my life," Victoria said with a smile. "What a coincidence! I can spend all the money my father left for me, but I don't want to. I own a company that's making a lot of money. You would know that, right? Do you really think I need Dalen to give me pocket money?" Victoria's face changed, but she maintained her composure and said, "So what? No matter how much you spend, Dalen will not give you enough." Cole watched the argument play out. He had no intention of stepping in between this catfight. "Indeed, I could pay for this bag, but I don't have to pay for anything else in this shop, so why would I bring money?" Lucia asked innocently. "What do you mean?" Victoria's expression changed. Oh, I forgot to tell you. This store has already been bought by Dalen, who then gave it to me. Naturally, they don't make the owner pay, do they? Lucia's face was glowing with triumph. I don't believe it. Victoria's face began to turn pale. You don't believe me? Lucia thought that it didn't matter if she didn't believe her or not, but she said to the shop assistant, In the future, when this woman comes to buy things, don't sell her anything. Understand? Yes, ma'am, the assistant replied. Victoria could hardly believe it. How much did this store cost? Dalen actually gave it to Lucia? Why would he give it to her? She still did not believe Lucia, so she yelled at the shop assistant, You guys are all acting. We are not acting, said the assistant. Mrs. Patrick has been the owner of the Tam store since last month. Victoria was so agitated that she took a step back. Jerica, who was behind her, hurriedly ran and supported her. However, she was pulled away by Victoria. With a pale face, she looked at the proud Lucia. You still haven't fainted? Hold on. Lucia then pulled something out of her bag. Look carefully. What is this? What? Black credit card? Victoria was stupefied. Then her eyes rolled back and she fainted. Young miss! Young miss! Jerica was terrified. After this, she and the driver hurriedly took Victoria out of the store and quickly left. Seeing her state, she should be taken to the hospital. Lucia sneered. It seemed like Victoria could tell at a glance that it was Dalen's black credit card. Cole patted Lucia's shoulder. Are you trying to kill us all? What if she was the one who tried to burn us alive? Whatever. If it weren't for her, neither of us would have gone to the hotel to sleep and nearly been burned to death, said Lucia. So she is the one who caused all these issues? You said I should have kicked her, Cole said. What's the matter with you? Lucia said, turning to Cole. What? Cole didn't understand Lucia's question. How come you didn't know to help when Victoria and I were arguing? How could I have helped? At this moment, Lucia's cell phone rang. She took it out and looked at it. It was Dalen. Why was he calling this time? After answering the call, she couldn't even say hello before Dalen's overbearing and arrogant voice said, Are you at the mansion? Lucia was so angry when she heard Dalen that her face contorted. I'm not allowed to walk around the streets while you are, thought Lucia. However, Lucia did not dare to argue with Dalen, especially when Dalen already seemed upset. She didn't want others around her to hear her conversation with him, so she walked out of the store and asked him, Are you already back? I was afraid that you would be bored by yourself in the mansion, so I came back to accompany you when I was done with my work. But evidently, you're not here, Dalen yelled. Lucia touched her forehead guiltily. I didn't know you'd be back so early. Didn't I say that I'd come right back? Dalen's questioning voice sounded very dangerous. How would I know if what you said was true? Lucia mumbled. How much longer will you be gone? Dalen asked, while restraining his anger. Lucia thought for a moment and said, I've only just started wandering around. I'll come to pick you up now, Dalen responded. No, I'll come back immediately, Lucia immediately said. With that, she hung up the phone and looked up to the sky helplessly. If Dalen really did come to get her, it wouldn't make sense if she didn't go back with him. The point was, she did not want to go back. Soon after, John came in a car to pick Lucia up. On the drive to the mansion, John said, Mom, if Mr. Patrick is unhappy, don't provoke him. Lucia groaned. It's fine. I could hear how unhappy he was over the phone. It's really difficult to be Dalen's woman. Lucia shook her head. Why did you come to get me? Don't you think that Dalen is a difficult boss? Lucia asked. But John didn't reply. Dalen was sitting on the sofa in the living room with a dark expression when Lucia walked into the room. He narrowed his eyes when he saw her. Lucia almost stumbled and fell. "Where were you?" Dalen asked unkindly. "I was at our Tam store when you called. I came back as soon as I hung up," Lucia answered. "So it took an hour and a half to come back home." "There was a bit of a traffic jam," Lucia said noncommittally. "Call me the next time you're stuck in a traffic jam. I'll get the helicopter to pick you up." What else could Lucia say to this? She couldn't say a word. She was just 15 minutes late and he was behaving as if she had been missing all this while. Lucia walked over, glanced at Dalen and asked, "What's for dinner tonight?" "Eat whatever you want," he said without answering her. "Did you change the gauze on your hand?" Lucia's gaze fell on Dalen's hands as she asked. Dalen's black eyes widened slightly. The gauze on his hands was different from what it had been in the morning. This little thing was actually so meticulous of her to notice. He really liked her being so observant about him. "I changed the gauze. It was hurting," Dalen said. Lucia clicked her tongue. "Like I said, it's different from this morning. How could you be so careless? What did the doctor say? Is the wound serious? It is taking more time to heal than we thought, isn't it?" Lucia said. "Are you worried about me?" Dalen's eyes were full of mockery. "I'm worried that you'll make me feed you again when the time comes." Lucia denied her concern. Dalen looked at Lucia's twinkling eyes. They made him want to hold her close and never let go. The next day, Lucia was playing games in her office. A message from Master popped up on the screen. Lucia was stunned. It had been a long time since she had heard from her online friend. She had not taken the initiative to reach out to him. What did he send her? Opening it, Lucia's face was filled with black lines. Master. "Baby, do you miss me?" Lucia. "What the heck are you thinking?" Master. "I miss you." Lucia. "Don't you have a wife?" Master. "I was thinking about my wife." Lucia. "What do you think you're doing?" Master. "I don't know. What are you busy with?" Lucia. "Playing computer games." Master. "I'll play with you." Lucia. "Really? You know how to play?" Master. "Yes." Lucia thought this was interesting. "Hey, Cole, isn't this kind of a bad situation?" Lucia asked. Cole moved to stand behind Lucia and look at the screen. "Lucia, this Master can't be Dalen, right?" Cole asked. "How is that possible?" Lucia had never even thought that was a possibility. "He messages you on chat and even plays games with you. I feel that only Dalen would favor you this much." Cole seemed to be joking. After saying that, he walked back to his seat. However, Cole's words had caused Lucia to be stunned. It was as if something had woken up in her mind. From the very beginning, Lucia felt that this friend request was strange. She had thought that someone from the PR department had added her, but at that time she had been too emotional and hadn't thought of anything else. She didn't want to think about it either. The more she thought about it now, though, the more she felt that there was something wrong with this friend of hers. Because even if he added her, he would have to get her permission, right? How did he make it onto her friends list? And then, when they tried to meet up, the person who appeared was Dalen. Lucia suddenly felt her body go numb. The more she thought about it, the more she felt like it was Dalen. Lucia stared at the chat box blankly for a long time. Then she typed. What should she ask? Ask his name? She had asked the first time and he hadn't told her. What makes her think he'll tell her this time? What if she just asks for his wife's name? If it was Dalen, he definitely wouldn't let her find out. That night, while Dalen took a shower, Lucia found Dalen's phone. Lucia never touched Dalen's phone, but she had to find out the truth. She slid open the screen and saw that there was no password. Then Lucia saw the chat app that was exactly the same as hers. Then she opened the app. Seeing the chat box with Lucia and seeing his username as Master, she almost broke his phone. He was lying to her. Lucia was livid. Dalen's phone suddenly vibrated. Lucia was so scared that she almost threw his phone away. Then she saw the caller. Jeff. Lucia curled her lips in disdain. She stood at the door of the bathroom with Dalen's phone and called for him inside. Dalen, your phone is ringing. Who is it? He shouted back. You won't let me say his name. Lucia held a grudge. Leave it alone, Dalen answered. Lucia threw the phone on the bedside table and let it vibrate. She laid on the bed to play with her phone. Looking at the chat software on her phone, Lucia felt like her heart was going crazy, especially when she saw her chat with Master. How dare he tease her like that? Lucia decided not to confront Dalen about it. Since he was going to lie to her, she might as well keep playing the game. After Dalen came out, she played on her phone with a calm expression. The phone on the bedside table vibrated again. Dalen picked up the phone and answered, What is it? Lucia looked at Dalen. His face was creased, and his eyebrows were slightly furrowed. She couldn't hear what Jeff said, but she could make out that it definitely wasn't a good thing. Lucia wanted to continue watching Dalen's face, but he turned away. She couldn't see anything. She only heard Dalen's unhappy voice speaking to the person on the other end of the line. You mean now? Right now, said the other person. What about tomorrow? Dalen asked. Stop sheltering her. It's not like she can escape, the person yelled. Dalen hung up without any hesitation. He calmed down and turned around. Lucia looked at Dalen and asked, What's wrong? I'm going to the Middle East. Something happened with Jeff, Dalen said. Is he going to die? Lucia asked bluntly. But it was also the truth. If Jeff wasn't dying, why would Dalen be in such a hurry? More or less. Dalen shrugged. Are you leaving now? Lucia asked. Dalen walked over, sat on the edge of the bed, and touched Lucia's face with his big hands. Spencer will stay here with you. I will return as soon as possible. Dalen didn't want to leave Lucia here alone so soon after the fire. But Jeff had helped him before, and he owed a favor. Jeff usually did not beg anyone. He had to go. Why is Spencer staying here? What if you need him out there? Lucia was worried about Dalen going alone. I'll feel better if he stays here, Dalen said. How long will you be there? Lucia asked. 1 week at the most. Lucia nodded. She didn't want to show the disappointment she felt. Dalen's face suddenly lowered down, and his lips were on hers. Lucia's long eyelashes trembled, but she did not push him away. She pulled him closer. Just hours later, Dalen headed to the helicopter. Lucia ran down the stairs and chased after him. Dalen stood in front of the helicopter and looked at her. Her heart tightened as if it would break at any moment, and then she watched Dalen board, close the cabin door, and take off. The wind from the propellers blew the grass like waves. Lucia's long hair whipped around her head. All that was left was her disheveled hair and her pale face in the darkness. She didn't feel good about him leaving. John was standing next to her and said, What should we do? Mr. Patrick gone to the Middle East, and you are alone in the castle? It's too pitiful. Edward nudged John with his elbow to get him to stop talking. He looked at Lucia and offered a supportive smile. Mr. Patrick will be back soon. Without a word, Lucia walked past them with her head lowered. John and Edward silently watched as Lucia ascended the stairs and returned to her room. When she closed the door behind her, she let out a huge sigh of relief. I'm free! He's finally left! I'm so happy! Lucia rushed out of her room, running and laughing like a maniac. John and Edward were speechless. After tiring herself out, Lucia stomped back into her room and slammed the door. Now that Dalen was gone, Lucia stretched out on the bed and started to play games. She decided she wouldn't even go to bed until 11. Dalen's absence was simply amazing. However, as soon as it was 10 o'clock, Lucia's eyes started to grow drowsy. A knock on the door caused Lucia's body to jump. "I'm sleeping," Lucia yelled, hoping to be left alone. But she wanted to hold on and stay awake for another half an hour. This was her free time. She wanted to make the most of it. She tried to keep her eyes open, but she didn't realize when she fell asleep. Lucia instinctively reached out to touch the person beside her, but she couldn't feel anything. His absence was alien to her, and she woke up. Only then did she remember that Dalen had already gone to the Middle East. Lucia lay down again in a daze. The next day, when she went to the company, she immediately said to Cole, "I didn't have enough shopping last night. Let's continue with our shopping today." "Can I trust you?" Cole's trust in Lucia had obviously gone down. Lucia rolled her eyes. "Of course. Today I'll treat you to a meal. After that, we can go shopping and even go to a movie. Didn't you say last time that there was a movie you wanted to see? We'll go." "Are you sure? You really want to go? You've ditched me so many times. Will you ditch me again as soon as Dalen calls?" Cole hated it when Lucia left him hanging. "Absolutely not," Lucia promised. However, Cole thought for a moment and said, "Forget it. I'm not going." "Why?" Lucia whined. "Because you can't be trusted." "Well, Dalen's gone. He went to the Middle East." "Do you believe me now?" Lucia said helplessly. A smile spread over Cole's face. "Fine, I do." Cole was super curious. He said, "Right, why is Dalen going to the Middle East?" "To go to find Jeff." Lucia's expression changed. She said to Cole, "There's something I want to tell you, but don't worry too much." "What?" Cole was nervous by her expression. "Jeff might die," Lucia said with a grave expression. "Huh?" Cole was shocked. "I don't know if Dalen can save him," Lucia said. Cole was so shocked that he dropped the papers in his hands. "Are you all right?" Lucia asked with concern. "What? Why do you think he can't be saved?" Cole asked. His face was frozen. "I don't know. Seeing Dalen's face that night, Jeff's definitely going to die. Why would he be in such a hurry if he wasn't seriously concerned?" Lucia said seriously. "He has to be okay," Cole said worriedly. Then he comforted himself. "Dalen is so powerful, Jeff will definitely be fine." Lucia wanted to help Cole feel better, so she told him, "I'm sure Jeff will be fine. Do you still want to go to the movies and dinner?" "Of course I'm going. Jeff will be fine, so why wouldn't I go? It's not like if we don't go, he won't be in trouble, right?" The logic was a bit confusing, but Lucia nodded her head. This seemed to make quite a bit of sense. After getting off work and leaving the company, they were like fish that had been set free, swimming freely in the sea. And Lucia didn't worry about any sharks attacking. Shopping, eating, watching movies, and being free and untethered. Cole and Lucia held their glasses and chatted as they walked into the movie theater. "I feel like I'm being watched. I can't see Spencer clearly, but he's always just around the corner. Dalen is really worried about you." Cole sighed with emotion. "Isn't it incredible?" Lucia asked. "Yes, quite impressive," Cole agreed. "There is no one stronger than Dalen in the entire country," Lucia sighed. "Otherwise, why would he be called king of the city?" The corners of Lucia's mouth twitched as she laughed. That's why a woman like me is worthy of him. So what does that make you? Cole was curious. Lucia smiled and stuck out her chin. The queen of the city. You have no shame. Cole laughed. The two of them stayed in the dark of the movie theater. When the lights were turned off, they could not see each other's faces. However, Lucia felt that Spencer was hiding somewhere in the back rows. As Lucia stared at the movie on the big screen, she thought, if Jeff was in danger, then wouldn't Dalen also be in danger? However, Dalen said that he would be back within a week. When the movie was over, it was almost 10 o'clock. Lucia and Cole were still strolling around. She bought some food, and they went to sit in the park to enjoy the night breeze. Today was a great day, Lucia said. You can only hang out like this when Dalen isn't around, so cherish it, Cole said, leaning back. Cole's words were the truth. She was left speechless. Spencer suddenly appeared. Young madam, you need to go back now. It's not even 10 o'clock yet. Lucia was upset. Spencer was like Dalen's other pair of eyes. Do you want me to call Dalen to report to him? Spencer threatened. Lucia's anger immediately vanished and turned to fear. Cole stood up and walked to Spencer. Can't she turn a blind eye? No, Spencer said. It's rare that Lucia gets to stay out like this, isn't it? Why are you so strict? Cole wanted to convince Spencer to let Lucia stay out. However, nothing he said could melt Spencer's heart. Lucia didn't want Dalen to know she was out late, so she had no choice but to go back to the mansion, but she wanted Cole to come with them. When they were in the car, Cole said, Let me tell you, this bodyguard of Dalen's is really unreasonable. It's as if someone owes him a lot of money. Just as Cole finished his sentence, the car stopped. Have we arrived? Lucia asked. Nope. After Spencer said that, he got out of the car, opened the car door, and pulled Cole out onto the street. Then the door closed, Spencer got in, and they left. Cole was left outside on the main road. He didn't even know what was going on. What? What are you doing? Cole shouted at the car after regaining his senses. Lucia was also dumbfounded. She leaned out the window and watched Cole fade into the distance. She asked Spencer, What are you doing? I only need to be in charge of you. As for any others, I don't care. Spencer continued to drive the car. But Cole is my friend. You don't have to do this, do you? Lucia whined. I don't like it when people talk bad about me, Spencer said. Only now did Lucia realize that Spencer was not someone to be trifled with. What else did he not like? It seemed like Cole had really touched a nerve with Spencer. Lucia hurriedly called Cole on the phone. Are you all right? What do you think? Cole yelled into her ear. I'll order Spencer to drive the car back now. She thought that if Spencer didn't comply, then she would have to be more demanding. No need, I'm already in a taxi, said Cole. So it's like that. I'm so sorry. Lucia was embarrassed. She really wanted to kick Spencer. Text me when you get home, Lucia said. When Lucia returned to the mansion, she was about to call Dalen to report Spencer's behavior in her room. However, she couldn't get through to Dalen's phone. It kept going straight to voicemail. What was going on? Did something happen? Lucia was so shocked that she hurriedly ran out of the room. Spencer! Young madam. The voice came from behind her. Lucia was so shocked that her cell phone almost fell out of her hand. Why can't I get through to Dalen's phone? Lucia asked. It's daytime in the Middle East, so Dalen is probably just dealing with some business matters. Dalen said that there is no need to contact him and that he would be safe, Spencer said. Then why didn't you tell me this before? Lucia was angry. Maybe Dalen thought that you wouldn't call him, so he just told me, Spencer explained. Lucia wondered if Dalen thought that she wouldn't try to call him. In other words, we can't contact him for 3 days? Lucia asked. Yes. Lucia had no choice but to return to her room. Meanwhile, in Jeff's temporary villa on the mountaintop in the Middle East, the scenery outside was pleasant and refreshing, but the scene was much more tense inside. The villa was as luxurious as if it was heaven on earth. Jeff sat on the sofa and leisurely sipped his coffee. Dalen, who sat not far away, stared at him with a cold gaze. Jeff glanced at him and said, "What's the use of staring at me? Afraid that I might be up to something?" "Well, why won't you let me use my phone? It's an unnecessary precaution," Dalen said. "You want to call someone special, huh?" Jeff asked. Dalen's expression turned even colder. "Don't be in such a rush. It's good to have some time away from new marriage. There are only benefits to this," Jeff said. "Whatever. When is this happening?" Dalen said. "I'm not sure," Jeff said with a shrug. "That guy is quite troublesome, but he's not the one we're dealing with right now. This whole thing really gives me a headache." Dalen said with a cold expression, "Let me use a computer." "We can't use it." Jeff immediately refused. As soon as Jeff finished his sentence, his phone rang. Jeff answered without even looking at the number. Then he walked to the balcony, facing the green mountain and the sparkling river beside it. Jeff had enough money to create an oasis in the Middle East. It was obvious that he was not to be underestimated. After the call, Jeff told Dalen, "I'm going out for a while." "You're going to meet with him now?" Dalen asked. "No, it's not the big boss. You don't need to come." After Jeff said that, he took his suit jacket and left. Dalen was looking around for something from which he could communicate. In the end, he only found a laptop. Lucia was laying on the bed playing with her wolfhound pendant when the screen of her phone flashed. Lucia jumped up in shock. It wasn't Dalen calling, but it was a familiar number. Then she got a message. It was from the master. "Master, are you asleep?" Lucia, "Not yet. What are you doing?" "Master, having coffee." Lucia's expression immediately turned sour. She thought he was in danger, but there he was just drinking coffee? So he has the time to lounge around and drink coffee, but he can't make a phone call? Lucia felt displeased. "Lucia, then you really are comfortable. Is your wife not home?" "Master, nope." "Lucia, so that's why you were talking to me?" "Master, did you miss me?" "Lucia, yes, I did." "Master, what do you think?" "Lucia, what do you want me to think?" "Master, are you thinking about me at all?" The heck! If Lucia didn't know that this was Dalen, she would have felt scandalized. "Lucia, yeah, I really want to. How about we video chat?" "Master, all right." "Lucia, wait a moment. I'll use my computer to video chat with you." Lucia immediately ran towards Dalen's study room. After entering, she locked the door. Then she turned on Dalen's computer. She downloaded the chat software before logging in. Then she sent a smiling emoticon over. And she linked the video. In front of the video camera, Lucia used a napkin to cover her face, the corners of it pressed to her ears. Only her big eyes were exposed. After the video was linked, Lucia could only see the part below Dalen's neck, so she couldn't see his face. However, Lucia's heart still throbbed when she saw the familiar, tall, and muscular body. "Master, you're covering your face." "Lucia, I didn't want to show you because I knew you would hide." "Master, well, is my figure satisfactory to you?" Satisfactory? Lucia thought. Lucia had already taken a shower and was wearing her pajamas. The collar was loose. While watching the video, Lucia pretended to itch her shoulder and scratched it with her hand. When she moved her hand, the collar of her shirt opened wider, revealing a bit of her collarbone. Dalen's gaze immediately turned dark. He stared straight at that snow-white skin, wishing that he could rip open her shirt. As Lucia watched the video, she naturally knew what Dalen's current situation was. Lucia, you have a great figure. Master, are you satisfied? Lucia, I need something to drink. Master, all right. Lucia stood up and went outside the study to ask John for some milk. After the milk was served, she sneakily closed the door and returned to the video. Did Lucia really want to drink it? Of course not. As she drank, the milk spilled over the front of her body. Ay-ya! Lucia pretended to be surprised and quickly wiped it with her hand. The more she wiped, the more wet the area became. Looking at this whole scene, it looked as if it was right out of a fantasy, especially for Dalen. Him being so physically far away from her and seeing her tease him like this was unbearable. His body reacted. Lucia typed it out. Lucia, sorry, I accidentally spilled my milk. Master, lick it up yourself. Lucia, I can't lick it. Master, lick your finger. Lucia did as she was told. Even without the volume on, Lucia could imagine how heavy Dalen's breathing was right now. Master, wait, let me see your hand. Lucia showed him her soft white hands. Master, take off your pajamas. Lucia, no, my husband said I can't show myself to anyone except him. Master, let me see you. Lucia, I won't show you anything. Master, you are seducing me. Lucia, so what? Master, Lucia, when did you find out it was mine? Lucia typed savagely. Lucia, how did you know? Master, voice on. Lucia switched on the voice chat. There was no need to hide their faces anymore. Lucia immediately saw Dalen's handsome face. Dalen's heart itched when he saw Lucia's angry face. How did you know that I already knew that Master is you? Lucia asked. You wouldn't dare to seduce another man, Dalen said confidently. Lucia was speechless, because it was true. Dalen grinned. Pour the milk onto your body and bathe in it for me to see. Don't blame me for making a mess in your study then, Lucia said. I will allow it, Dalen said, leaning forward eagerly, wishing to teleport to the other side of the screen. Lucia thought, why do you want to see me naked so much? But she wasn't in danger because he was on the other side of the world. Lucia didn't pour the milk on herself. Instead, she turned her back to the video and undid her clothes. She took them off and threw the shirt and pants on the table. Turn around, Lucia. Dalen's voice became heavier. Sure. Lucia turned away, but used her hands to cover herself. This made Dalen want to walk through the computer. Not only that, he loved that Lucia was even doing something to seduce him. She didn't dare to do what she was doing now in front of Dalen when he was with her, but now that he was just watching her on a screen, she was more brave. This was the punishment for Dalen. Meanwhile, Jeff didn't meet the other party. They were too cunning, and this was just a test, so he came back. However, he didn't expect to hear the voices of a man and a woman when he stood at the door of Dalen's room. Lucia's voice was clear on the other side of the door. Jeff felt a burst of warmth in his body. Dalen walked out of the room with a calm expression. Noticing Jeff sitting on the couch, he asked, You didn't meet with him? I'll see him next time, Jeff answered. Back at the mansion, Lucia lay on the bed. Her face was red. Her heart was beating extremely fast. She was just trying to seduce Dalen, but why did she get involved with him? If she had to blame something, she could only blame Dalen for being too sinister. No, if this happens again, she definitely wouldn't let him succeed. Since Lucia was alone in the mansion, she became lazier. She slept in late the next morning and didn't want to go to the office. She thought she'll get up later and leave. However, someone disturbed her early in the morning. Lucia drowsily opened her eyes and saw John standing beside the bed. "What?" she asked. "I'll go back to the office in the afternoon." "No, it's Linda. She's here," John said. "What?" Lucia, who was sleeping soundly, was slow to react. Her brain paused for a second before she immediately bounced up. "Dalen's mom?" John nodded with a pained expression. "The one suffering should be me. What are you suffering for?" "I just feel bad for you." Lucia was scared out of her wits. She got up quickly. After washing up, Lucia walked over to the front room to face Linda as if she was facing a great enemy. She called out, "Mom!" Linda, who was sitting on the sofa, was holding a teacup as she glanced at Lucia from head to toe, looking at her with disdain. "It's late." "I overslept. I won't next time," Lucia promised. "You don't need to promise me that. No matter how much you promise, I will never admit that you are my daughter-in-law." Linda did not hide her dislike for Lucia. Lucia pursed her lips and said, "Mom, Dalen and I are already married. You might as well accept me?" "You want me to accept you?" Linda echoed. Lucia nodded enthusiastically. "Come with me to live in the house for a while. Let me see if I should accept you," Linda said. "What for?" Lucia was confused at the request. "You talk too much," Linda said coldly. John immediately stepped forward. "Mum, can I accompany her as well? When Mr. Patrick left the mansion, he told the young mistresses she must not have any mishaps." "Do you think that something bad will happen to her while she's with me?" Linda asked. John said nervously, "It's not like that." "Then shut up and do what you have to do," Linda snapped. Lucia silently cursed. Dalen's personality was mostly inherited from this witch, for sure. She hesitated and said, "Mom, I still have to go to the office in the afternoon, and I have to work every day." "So you don't want to come stay with me?" Linda asked. "Absolutely I do," Lucia fibbed. "Don't think you are any better than me. Doesn't your company know that it has Dalen supporting it? I don't think you have to worry about your company going out of business," said Linda. Lucia's anger rose. Even if that was the truth, what Linda had said was too harsh. Lucia thought that Linda knew that Dalen wasn't here, so she came specifically to look for her. She had no option. She had to follow Linda to her house. When they reached her home, they went straight to the visiting room. Seeing Linda sit down, Lucia also prepared to sit down. However, before her butt could land on the sofa, she heard Linda's solemn voice. "Go and pour me a cup of tea." Lucia froze. She stood up and went to pour Linda a cup of tea. Linda's tea was typically prepared by her maid, so Lucia didn't know what Linda was especially fond of. She asked the person who usually made tea for Linda before pouring it for her. After the tea was served, Linda was still trying to be picky, but she didn't expect that she would be unable to find anything. It seemed like this woman had been raised quite well, actually. She was very meticulous. After pouring the tea and seeing Linda drink it without saying anything, Lucia went to sit down. When she was about to sit down on the sofa, Linda spoke again. "Are you going to prepare lunch?" Linda asked. Lucia froze and stood up again. I don't know how to cook." "Learn to do it and make me lunch," Linda demanded. Lucia went to the kitchen to prepare food. Whether it was a house or a mansion, there were so many servants. Was there really a need for her to cook? It was obvious that Linda had brought her here to torture. Lucia just hoped that Dalen would come back and save her. But if she told Dalen to come back now, then Linda would definitely have a bigger problem. What he was doing in the Middle East had nothing to do with Lucia. When Lucia went to the kitchen, she was overwhelmed. She had never touched anything in a kitchen in her life. Lucia had never cooked a meal for her parents, so cooking for Dalen's mom was impossible. Which is salt? Why do I feel that they all look the same? Lucia asked the chefs beside her. The chef didn't say a word. Lucia still had to get to know all kinds of seasonings before she could think about what kind of dishes to cook. The chef finally said something and told her that Linda's food was light and simple. Good. If she were to cook the food, she would have to learn what all was used and make herself familiar in the kitchen. A little salt, the chef reminded her. How much is a little? Lucia raised her serious face. Linda went to the kitchen door and glanced in at Lucia, who was cooking seriously. She then turned around and went back to her room to rest. It took 2 hours for Lucia to prepare the meal, and it was only 3 vegetarian dishes. Yet it made her feel so dizzy from doing it. Linda went to the table and Lucia stood beside her. After Linda tasted it, her expression didn't change. Is it bad? Lucia thought. She had tasted them all beforehand. Sit down and let's eat together. Don't say I mistreated you, Linda said. Lucia sat down. She'd lost her appetite, but Lucia really had to eat it even if she didn't want to. Otherwise, wouldn't she be hungry? Besides, who knows what she might have to do for the rest of the day? She had a nagging feeling that Linda wouldn't let her off so easily. After dinner, Lucia pushed open the door to let some air into the stuffy house. Linda said, "Aren't you going to wash the dishes?" Lucia didn't say anything. Linda continued, "You're living with me? You did all the cooking. You don't have to wait for me to ask you to do things. You have to find things to do yourself. After washing the dishes, go outside to water the plants and then come back to clean up. This is all basic knowledge." With that, Linda got up and left. Lucia looked at the plate and bowl on the table. She wanted to cry, but had no tears. She stood up and went to wash the dishes. Bang! A loud sound was heard. Another bang sound was heard. The servant went to her room and reported to Linda. "There are 6 bowls in total. The girl has now broken 4. If we don't have enough bowls, go buy more." Linda didn't get angry. Instead, she looked at the scriptures lying open in her hands. "Yes, ma'am." Lucia was worried that she would be scolded because she threw the bowls against the wall, but to her surprise, she was not scolded. But she still couldn't breathe. She had to water the flowers and plants outside. Water the plants outside? Why was Linda torturing her like this? She looked around and shouted, "Spencer?" No one showed up. "Spencer!" She tried again. Still no one. Lucia sighed. "When I don't need you, you always appear. When you're actually needed, I don't even get to see a glimpse of you. This is so infuriating." Lucia's arm was about to break after she finished watering the plants. She returned to the house to clean. Lucia looked at the religious statues in the hall and muttered, "She is clearly a merciful person. Why would she make things difficult for me? How pitiful. Dalen, when are you coming back? I'm going to be tortured by your mother." Lucia resigned herself to the fact that no one was going to save her this time and began to clean. Then she accidentally bumped into one of the Buddhist statues, and it fell to the ground. With a clang, the statue broke into pieces. Staring at the broken pieces on the ground, Lucia sucked in a breath of cold air. She felt like she was going to die. The servants rushed over when they heard the commotion. Linda also rushed over, and when she saw the statue that was smashed on the ground, she swayed from side to side. Fortunately, she was supported by a nearby servant, so she didn't fall. "Mom, I didn't mean to do that. This statue couldn't stand still, and it was knocked over with a breath. How about I buy you another one?" Lucia had never bought such a thing before because she didn't believe in religion. Moreover, she felt that something like this could be easily found elsewhere. She could just buy a substitute. Therefore, she didn't know how serious this matter was for Linda. This was a bodhisattva that Linda had worshipped for over 10 years, and it was smashed to the ground by Lucia just like that. This was not the same as bowls in the kitchen. Linda was so angry that her entire body was trembling. "Get out!" "Can I go home now?" Lucia asked. "You want to go home after smashing my stuff? Stand outside and do not enter the house without my permission," Linda yelled. Lucia had thought that she had gotten lucky from her misfortune. She didn't expect to be unable to leave this place so easily, and yet she was being chased out. Lucia walked out and stood outside, leaning against the wall with a depressed expression on her face. Why was she so unlucky? She was still thinking about whether she should use this opportunity to get on good terms with Dalen's mom. Therefore, it was necessary for her to work hard. Now Dalen's mom probably wanted to skin her alive. It would definitely be Dalen's fault for leaving her here alone. "The madam told you to stand still." Linda's personal servant glared at her. Lucia shuddered and immediately stood up. Seeing the servant turn around and enter the house, she heaved a sigh of relief. Linda was really smart. Knowing that Lucia wouldn't be able to stand properly, that was precisely why she sent her servant with her to torture her deliberately. Lucia was already exhausted and tried to shift her mind from the situation she was in. So she took out her phone from her pocket and opened her chat app. "Send a message to Master." "Lucia." "Hello." "Master, you miss me?" "Lucia." "Maybe, but not really." "Master, what are you doing?" "Lucia." "Eating, chatting, and basking in the sun." "What about you?" "Master." "Lying in bed and thinking of you." Only then did Lucia remember that it was already past midnight for Dalen. He still wasn't sleeping? Why? "Lucia, are you still not asleep? What are you doing with your phone on? Did you find another woman to fall in love with?" Dalen looked at that passage of text as if he saw Lucia pouting adorably and couldn't help but smile sexily. Actually, he had already fallen asleep, but even as he slept, he was still very vigilant. He was a light sleeper and had left his computer on. Even the slightest sound of a notification could wake him up. Dalen responded to her pouty complaint message. "Master, what if I have other women?" "Lucia, I will castrate you." Dalen's mood became even better. It would be impossible for him to sleep now. This woman had excited him. Lucia, on the other hand, was fuming. She wouldn't forgive him if he had dared to find another woman. After a while, she got a reply from Master. "Master, I've been missing you at night." "Lucia." "Sure." Lucia thought to herself, "I'll let you know the consequences of provoking me." At this moment, a call came in. It was Cole. "Are you not planning to come into work today?" "Could it be because Dalen is back?" Cole asked. "If only he had come back," Lucia whined. "What's wrong?" "You can't even imagine what kind of suffering I'm going through right now." Lucia gritted her teeth. "What's happening? I can't imagine that you're actually suffering in the castle. I feel like you're always moaning, even though you have it so good," Cole said. "Don't you know that once you enter the upper class, everything changes? Feels like I'm drowning," Lucia moaned. "Even if you drown with Dalen by your side, what is there to be afraid of?" Cole wasn't worried at all about Lucia. "But he can't hold me now, and I'm suffering." "I still don't know what kind of suffering you're going through. If you can't say it, then don't complain." Cole was getting sick of this conversation. "I'm at Dalen's mom's place right now," Lucia said in a low voice. "What? Why did you go there?" Oh, I understand. You just took advantage of Dalen's absence to run over and get her to like you, Cole deduced. You don't know anything. It was Dalen's mother who came to the mansion and brought me here, and I'm even more helpless with her than I am with Dalen. Cole's interest was piqued. Why did she take you? It seems just to do all of her housework. Lucia shrugged. You doing housework? Can you? Cole had never seen Lucia clean in his life. If I don't do it, everything will just get worse here. Besides, I broke a Buddha statue, and now I'm standing outside. It feels like I'm back to my school days. Then tell Dalen to come back and save you. Cole gave her advice. However, Lucia felt this idea was useless. How can I? If my mother-in-law finds out that I called Dalen back, then her impression of me will be even worse. Lucia sighed deeply. That's true. Cole paused for a moment before he asked, Then how long will you have to be there? I will definitely have to wait for Dalen to come back before she lets me go, Lucia said. How many days are left? At least 3 or 4 days. Just bear with it. Cole had no other choice. Oh, and the statue. How terrifying. I feel like the scariest and most difficult to solve are relationships with in-laws. Can't help you there. Cole shrugged. Lucia was silent for a while and then said, I can only help myself. Cole shut his mouth and didn't say a word. He was thinking about whether he should just hang up the phone. He felt that it wasn't going to be a good idea. Lucia continued, I can't put up with doing housework here. If I am told not to eat meat for 3 or 4 days, I will die. What, you can't even have meat to eat? Cole was surprised. That's right. His mother is super religious. If I eat with her, we'll never eat meat. That's true. If Dalen knew of your current situation, he would definitely help. Usually, he won't even let you eat office food. Cole understood Lucia very well. If there was no meat to eat, she would go crazy. Lucia sighed. I'm feeling a little malnourished now, Cole. Bring me some food in the afternoon, please. This afternoon? I have to go to work, Cole argued. Is work more important, or am I? I'm your boss. Lucia was unhappy. All right. I'll send it to you in the afternoon, Cole promised. However, aren't you afraid that Dalen's mother will find out that you secretly ate meat? Throw it over the fence, Lucia said. Sure. What do you want to eat? Cole asked. As long as there's meat. Lucia's mouth already started to water at the thought of meat. She stood outside for several hours. She was about to faint before she was allowed to enter. Then the servant led her to her room. This is your room. Take a rest here. The layout of this room was very particular. It was clean and comfortable, and most importantly, there was the fragrance of sandalwood. The smell was soothing. Lucia was really exhausted and fell asleep immediately, but she hadn't been asleep nearly long enough before someone woke her up. She looked at the servant who was standing beside the bed and asked, What's wrong? Continue cleaning, the servant said. Oh yes, of course. The cleaning was not finished. Lucia was annoyed. She felt like she had returned to an era of slavery. Why did Linda have to torture her like this? Did she have to put her through this? Order her around like that? The servants here are as hardworking as she is, right? And there are so many servants here, and they actually get paid to do this job, but here she was doing everyone's work by herself. The madam has let you sleep for an hour. Don't complain, the servant said. It's not like I said I wasn't satisfied. Lucia dragged her tired body to work. 2 hours later, Lucia still hadn't finished her work. The phone in her pocket vibrated. She took it out and looked at it. It was a text from Cole. "My friend is here. I'll go outside and just meet." Lucia ran out as she spoke. She ran to the wall and stood at the foot of it. Then she saw the solid plastic box come flying over the wall. Lucia caught it. She opened it and took a look. It was filled with the delicious fragrance of meat. She could only imagine how heavenly it felt. Lucia was starving and almost began to salivate. She quickly wanted to dig in before anyone saw her. Just as she was about to eat it, she heard someone behind her say, "Meat is not allowed here." Before Lucia could come back to her senses, the food in her hands had already been taken away. Lucia looked at the servant's blank expression and asked, "You don't have to be so serious, do you? Linda doesn't eat meat, but I want to eat it." "No one eats meat here, so the young mistress should follow the rules and not make it hard for us." After the servant named Miss Jensen finished, she took Lucia's food and left. Lucia's phone buzzed with a text message. A message from Cole. "Was it delicious? I'm headed out." Lucia replied, "Don't send me any more in the future." Cole. "Why? Doesn't it taste good?" Lucia. "The food was taken away." When Lucia returned to the house, she was so angry that she could only vent her anger on cleaning. Miss Jensen came over and reminded her, "It's time to cook dinner." Lucia asked, "Then what do I do when that's finished?" "Eat dinner and continue cooking," Miss Jensen answered. Lucia had no choice but to cook. It was still all vegetarian meals. And Lucia felt hungry. She ate 2 big bowls of rice, but there was no helping it, and she did not have any snacks here. What a miserable life. After finishing the meal, she washed the dishes and poured some tea for Linda. She then continued to clean up. Shortly before 8 o'clock, Lucia dragged her body back to her room and collapsed on the bed. Fortunately, the house wasn't as big as the mansion. Otherwise, Lucia wouldn't be able to finish cleaning it if she had a year. At this moment, she missed the mansion, her castle, so much. That was the life of a princess. After showering and going to bed, she didn't even want to play on her phone anymore. She immediately rejected Dalen's video link when her phone rang. If Dalen found out that she was with his mother, then he would know something was off. Master. No video chat? Lucia. You provoked me and you still want a video? Master. I provoked you? Lucia. Yes. Master. When? Lucia. You said that you have other women. Master. You believe me? Lucia. Why shouldn't I believe it? I really believe it. Master. I'm only talking to you right now. Lucia. What about the others? Master. I was only teasing. Lucia's small mouth curved into a smile. The fatigue on her body immediately became much better, but she still couldn't compromise. Lucia. I'm sleepy and want to sleep. Master. So early? Lucia. I didn't take a nap in the afternoon. Master. Okay, go to sleep. Lucia turned off the chat app and put her phone on the bedside table. She yawned and was about to fall asleep. She was so tired. She had never suffered so much in her life. Dalen, if you don't come back soon, your wife's life is going to end. When Lucia was woken up in the morning, she thought it was the middle of the night because it was still dark outside. Lucia looked at the time on her phone. It was 5 a.m. Are all of you up so early? Lucia asked in surprise. Yes, the servant answered. Where's Linda? Lucia asked. She's out for a walk. You have to have breakfast ready for her when she gets back. So you should start preparing for it now. Without saying anything, Lucia headed for the kitchen. What could she do? Linda was Dalen's only family. She couldn't argue with her, could she? Forget it. The day's work was similar to yesterday's. There were 3 meals a day, and she had to clean up everything. But she was not allowed to go to the hall with the statues. Lucia noticed that a Buddha statue had replaced the one that she broke. She thought that Dalen's mother would feel better now, right? When Lucia was cleaning up in the afternoon, she didn't expect a guest to come visit. And these guests were none other than Catherine and Victoria. They had come to see Linda. When Catherine saw Lucia, she immediately smiled and said, "Lucia is here too?" "Hi, yes, I'm here." Lucia laughed dryly. Catherine then said to Linda, "Linda, look at how good your daughter-in-law is. She even came to help you around the house. How rare." Linda didn't say anything and asked Lucia, "Why aren't you pouring us some tea?" Lucia put down her work and went to pour some tea for Catherine and Victoria. When she handed the cup to Victoria, she looked at her with a pair of cold, mocking eyes. Lucia didn't try to hide anything. It was obvious from Linda's instructions that she was being forced to do housework here. Lucia poured the tea and continued her housework. Catherine said, "Why don't you let Lucia sit down?" "She likes to do this," Linda said. Catherine didn't say anything else. After Victoria drank the tea, she couldn't help but frown and cough lightly. "What's wrong?" Catherine asked. "Are you not feeling well?" "It's fine. The water is probably a little cold," Victoria said. "Then heat it again," Linda said. Lucia's expression was ugly. She knew Victoria was complaining on purpose. But in front of Linda, she could not argue. She had no other option but to turn around and make some more tea. After the tea was brewed once more and she gave Victoria a new cup, Victoria complained again. "Oh, it's so hot." Linda asked Lucia in annoyance, "What's going on with you? Do you not know how to make tea? Go and pour another cup." Lucia glared fiercely at Victoria. She went to make her another cup of tea. Victoria drank the tea after it was served. Now she was finally satisfied, but Lucia was not. Victoria sipped her tea a few times before Lucia suddenly said, "I remember now. When I was pouring tea for you, a bit of mud accidentally fell into the teacup." Victoria's expression changed. "What did you say?" And then she calmed down. "I don't believe it. How could dirt fall into this?" Lucia pointed to where the tea was being poured and said, "Didn't you see that? There's a potted plant there." "How did the potted soil fall into my tea?" Victoria asked. Lucia innocently threw up her hands. "How would I know? It accidentally fell in." Catherine took a look at the teacup in front of Victoria and her expression changed. "There really is dirt in there," she said with disgust. Linda said, "Go get another cup." "Auntie, there's no need. I'm not drinking anymore," Victoria said as she glared fiercely at Lucia. Lucia did not take it seriously. She was willing to be Linda's servant here, but she would not serve Victoria. She should be grateful it was only dirt and nothing more disgusting. She should be grateful that Lucia hadn't put anything in her cup that would make her sick. "I feel that this mud is actually not a bad thing. It is the soil that absorbs the essence of the world. Perhaps after drinking it, your body will recover completely," Lucia said with a smile. "Have you said enough?" Linda asked. "Yes, ma'am," Lucia quickly whispered. "When you're done, continue cleaning. Don't let the daily cleaning take a backseat. You still have to make dinner when the time comes," Linda reminded her. Lucia went to work like a young wife who was trying to impress her mother-in-law. Victoria felt much more comfortable looking at her while Lucia slaved away. She came today to see Linda, and she didn't expect to see such an interesting thing. What I envy the most is Lucia's body. I actually hope to be able to clean up like this one day, Victoria suddenly said. Lucia had a bad premonition. She felt that Victoria was unable to say anything good to her. This must be just the beginning. Linda said with concern, I see that you look much better this time. You should be getting better, right? Yes, it's already much better now. I'm taking some more medicine and I'll be able to recover, Victoria said with a gentle smile. That's right. She's almost fully recovered. I was thinking of starting to try and find a good marriage for her, Catherine said. That's good. Marriage cannot be delayed, Linda said. Catherine's eyes shined as if she was joking. I remember that once you even said that you wanted Victoria to be your daughter-in-law, although it was just a joke, since Dalen is married now. Catherine turned to Victoria and asked, Don't you want to get married? Auntie, what did you say? Victoria looked uneasy as she looked at Linda. Linda's face changed. Yes, I did say that. Only the child has grown up and is no longer obedient. I didn't even know he was getting married. Auntie, don't be sad. He was forced to do this. Besides, Lucia is not bad. She can do everything, see? But it would be even better if she gave you a grandson now, Victoria said. Lucia, who was cleaning the room and listening carefully, suddenly stopped. Then she noticed that Linda's expression was a bit confusing. Catherine added, They've been married for 3 months, right? There doesn't seem to be a child on the way yet. Of course, Lucia will definitely give birth at some point. That was true. Many people have gotten pregnant after being married for only 3 months. But Lucia's appearance was quite lively. She seemed to be jumping around. She didn't look like someone with a child at all. Also, if you have a child in the future, you can't be too active. Otherwise, it won't be good for the child, Catherine continued. I think with Dalen as the father, any child would be lucky, Victoria said. Lucia wanted to beat her up when she heard this. What she said sounded true. But she's still a virgin. What were these women blabbering about? Did they not understand anything? Catherine said, Shall we go and pray for it? Lucia was confused. What would they ask? Would they pray for her to get pregnant? And the most surprising thing was that Linda actually agreed to it. Let's go to the Buddhist temple that I usually worship at. Lucia was dumbfounded. She thought that this was just a topic to humiliate her. Would Linda be more resolute in telling her to scram? The next day, Linda really did go out again. Needless to say, she definitely went to the Buddhist temple. Lucia asked the servant, Why didn't she take me along? They answered, No need. The abbot in the Buddhist temple is very intelligent. Even if you don't go, he will still know of your existence. He's that good? Are you kidding me? Asked Lucia. The servant ignored her and turned away. With Lucia, even a servant dared to put on airs for her. This was the result of not being respected. While Lucia was preparing lunch, Linda returned. During the meal, Linda had an ugly expression on her face. She even slapped the fork and knife to the side, unable to eat anymore. Do you not have an appetite? Do you want something else? Miss Jensen asked. No need. I won't be able to eat anything. Linda looked sharply at Lucia. Lucia, who was eating, almost choked on her food. What is it? She asked. Looks like it's time for you and Dalen to divorce each other, Linda responded. What? It is? Lucia asked uncertainly. I think that although you may have ruined Dalen's happiness, you are not undesirable in the least. He's protecting you, so I'll just turn a blind eye. I never thought that you would actually be barren. Linda looked distraught. Huh? Lucia asked. You found that out today? What do you think? Why else would a woman not have children? You know you can't have children, so you shouldn't make Dalen suffer. You should cut it off, right? Linda asked with an ashen face. Lucia had never believed in such a thing. Mom, you can't trust what you've heard. It's a lie. You mean I'm easy to fool? Linda asked sternly. I didn't say that. Then what do you mean? Or are you mocking me? Linda's voice began to rise. Of course not. Since that's the case, you can tell Dalen when he returns. Tell him what? Lucia didn't understand. What did you say? Tell him that you can't have a child. Do you want to stay in the Patrick family? If you can't give birth to your child, then how can you be a part of us? Linda was practically yelling. Perhaps, how about you give me some time? Lucia thought to herself, 3 months really isn't that long of a time. If I give you more time, it will only delay Dalen, Linda said angrily as she stood up and returned to her room. Lucia looked at the dishes on the table and thought for a moment. She was the most afraid of being hungry. This was not the kind of food she liked to eat. You can still eat it, right? It is still food, Miss Jensen walked over and said. Lucia ate, but she had yet to follow her food. Go wash the bowls. If you want to make the madame happy, then don't do anything that she can't bear to see. Miss Jensen turned her back and Lucia spat out the rice in her mouth. She stood up and went to wash the dishes. It was better if she cleaned rather than forcing herself to eat this food. Lucia began to clean up after dinner. Thinking of how Cole used to talk about her being a slave, she really wanted him to see her like this. She was a hero. Why are you still here? Came the voice from the doorway. Lucia, who was cleaning up, looked up and saw Linda, who had just finished her afternoon nap, looking at her with a cold expression. What? Lucia didn't understand. I told you to leave, Linda said. I can leave now? Lucia was overjoyed in her heart. The bitter days of being a servant had come to an end. When you go back, don't forget to tell Dalen about the divorce. If he knows you'll never have a baby in your life, well, we'll see if he wants you. If you go easily and quietly, it will be the least amount of damage to you. Lucia thought, isn't this for her own good? She had originally thought she would get out and have something to eat first. But she didn't think she could wait for too long before she went back to the mansion. She had to quickly find a good place to eat. Only then would she go back. However, the more Lucia thought about it, the more she felt that something wasn't right. She was rather irritated. She turned around and headed to the company instead. Cole was surprised to see her. Why are you here? Can't I come? Lucia asked snappily. Didn't you say that you were being enslaved by Dalen's mother? Why did you come to the company then? I know you. You must be sick of running away from places. No, she drove me away herself. Why? Could it be that Dalen is back? Cole asked hopefully. Nope. Then what are you doing? Cole could not see why she had come. Can you come with me somewhere? Lucia said without any further explanation. Where? The Buddha temple, Lucia said. Buddha temple? Why? You're not even Buddhist. Then it all suddenly clicked in Cole's mind. You're planning on giving it your all, aren't you? Cole knew that Lucia wasn't very religious, so he guessed that this was a dire situation. What was she trying to pull off now? That's right. Why didn't I think of it before? Really? Lucia regretted. No? Then why are you going now? Cole asked. Do you know? Lucia asked. Dalen's mom went to the Buddhist temple to look for the abbot, who told her that I will never bear a son. What? Cole's gaze swept up and down Lucia's body as he asked, "Really? You believe this?" Lucia asked with a frown. "No, why would she do this to you? You're perfectly fine. You and Dalen have only been married for 3 months, right? Some people get pregnant slowly, so there's no need to be in such a hurry, right?" Cole said. "This is all Victoria's fault. She came over to see Dalen's mom with Catherine and started to sow discord. She said I should have been pregnant by now. If it wasn't for Dalen's mom, I would have knocked her out again. Who does she think she is?" Lucia got angry just thinking about it. The past few days of suffering have been for nothing. It's all because of her. Cole's gaze once again fell on Lucia's body. "You have consummated the marriage, right?" Lucia was a little embarrassed and said, "Not yet." "If Dalen's mother knew that you haven't been touched by her son, she would definitely have a greater prejudice against you," Cole said. "I think so too," Lucia said with uncertainty. "It makes me panic." Lucia continued, "So, why don't you accompany me on a trip to the Buddha temple? I want to meet this guy who says I'll have no children." Lucia's face was full of menace. Cole recognized this look on her face and did not want to leave Lucia alone. Who knows what she would do to the abbot? This could complicate things even more. Then the two of them walked around until they found the temple where Linda went. The abbot was present and they decided to directly confront him. He was dressed in a monastic robe with a long beard and his forehead was bald. Lucia's small eyes looked from top to bottom, then back up. "Are you done looking? Let's talk to him," Cole whispered in her ear. Lucia cleared her throat and said, "Master, I've recently had a heartbreak. My boyfriend doesn't want me anymore. Tell me, how do you call this incompatibility? Obviously, it was him who had another woman. Master, tell me, what's wrong with me?" Cole didn't understand what Lucia was trying to do. Didn't she say that she wanted to ask about children? The abbot pointed at the scripture at the side. Lucia was stunned. "What do you mean?" Then she became displeased. "Are you saying that I'm like a book that has no appeal at all after flipping through it?" The master shook his head. Lucia said, "Do you think that I have no culture? Should I use my talent to move him?" The master sighed deeply and said, "I asked you to pick up the scriptures. You need to pick up anything that falls to the ground." Lucia fell silent. After she picked up the book, she continued to ask, "Master, tell me, do I have to be separated from my family? I'm so good looking. I can make money, I can wash clothes and cook anything. Tell me, why?" Cole stood quietly by her side. He did not know what she was trying to do. The abbot thought for a moment and said, "Because from your appearance, your attack would have no effect." Lucia and Cole looked at each other and saw the astonishment in each other's eyes. She asked, "Can you explain it more clearly? I don't quite understand." "Yes, your marriage is too shallow. Even if you two were to be together, it wouldn't blossom or bear fruit," the abbot said. Lucia's heart was pounding, but she still thought she might have misunderstood. "Master, can you explain it more clearly?" The abbot sighed regretfully. "It means that you will never have children in your life." Lucia's expression froze. This was exactly as Linda had said. However, Lucia didn't want to accept such nonsense. She pounded the table and stood up. "I think you're just sitting here trying to cheat me." "Ma'am, don't be like this," the abbot implored. "Your beard must be fake." Lucia grabbed him with one hand. Let go!" The abbot turned pale with fright as his beard was fiercely pulled. "Eh? It can't be pulled down. Is it really real?" Lucia released her hand and asked curiously, "It was real to begin with." The abbot was fuming. He had never encountered such a thing in his life. This woman was truly insane. Then what am I supposed to do about this? Is there a way to solve this problem? Lucia tried to calm herself down. She felt that no matter what happened, she had to think of a way to get out of this, rather than blindly throwing a tantrum. You are destined for this. There is no way to solve it, the abbot responded. Are you sure? Lucia asked. Yes. Ugh! Lucia threw the brick in her hand, turned around, and left the Buddhist temple. Cole followed, and when he arrived outside, he saw Lucia squatting beside a stone block outside the building. Her hands supported her cheeks, and she appeared to be deep in thought. Cole walked over and knelt down by her. I'm telling you, it's not 100%. You can't blindly believe him. How could he even know? He's not a doctor. Cole consoled her. I know I can't believe it all, but why else would he say that? As if it's true. The more Lucia thought about it, the angrier she got. She felt that knocking him out was too easy of a reaction. The man deserved to be hit more, whether or not he was a man of faith. How could he just say something like that? Since you haven't, consummated the marriage yet, why not give it a try? Maybe you'll get pregnant next month. You can never tell with these things, Cole suggested. Lucia looked at Cole in disbelief and said, What a rotten idea. How is that a rotten idea? You're already married. Why not just go ahead and do it? What if I really can't get pregnant even after we've tried? Lucia asked. Cole was silent. Lucia said with an irritated sigh, I thought of this idea a long time ago, but if I really try and find out that the abbot is right and I can't get pregnant, then what excuse do I have to convince myself to be happy? It was hard to avoid the nervousness in her heart. She never knew she would be this stressed not even doing anything. Cole was sympathetic. This is really hard, but if there's anything wrong with your body, you can go to the hospital and then you'll know for sure. There are doctors who can help with such a thing. When Lucia's gaze shifted to Cole, he immediately shut his mouth. He didn't want to end up like the abbot inside. I guess I'll just take it one step at a time. Time to go home. Lucia stood up and said, It was too early to talk about having a baby. Who knew what she and Dalen would end up like? If she really couldn't have children, then she definitely can't be with Dalen. Her thoughts had become very negative. Why would the abbot think she was barren? Lucia heaved a deep sigh in her heart. This kind of thing was always happening to her. Was she just bad luck? Just as the two of them were about to turn back, Lucia heard her stomach growl. Are you hungry? Cole was stunned by the ferocity of the sound. I didn't eat lunch, Lucia said. Why is it that Dalen's mom doesn't even let you eat? Cole was surprised. What kind of ridiculous torture was she subjected to? It's because Dalen's mom found out that I can't have children. Then I was in a bad mood, and then I stopped eating, Lucia said helplessly. Seems like it's not easy to be a wife or a daughter-in-law of the upper-class family. Cole sighed. Then why do you still dare to like Jeff? I heard that his family is also from a wealthy family. Not much worse than Dalen's family, Lucia said. For him, I will overcome all difficulties. Cole's eyes shone with determination. Lucia shook her head in silence. She was fighting with her feelings. Across town, Catherine walked happily into Victoria's room. Victoria was on the balcony pruning flowers and plants when she saw Catherine walking in, smiling. She put down her scissors and asked, Auntie, what are you so happy about? Did you know that Dalen's mother went to the Buddhist temple to ask about whether Lucia could have children? What did he say? Victoria asked, eager for the response. I specifically went to see her today, and her expression was extremely ugly. Also, Lucia is no longer there. In private, I've asked around, and it turns out Lucia can't have children." Catherine looked relaxed and satisfied. A woman who can't have children, not to mention in a family like ours, cannot be tolerated. Victoria snickered. "I didn't expect Lucia to believe in superstitions like that." "Who can say? She would rather believe it. She is so young right now and has never given birth to a child." Victoria smiled and said, "Auntie, your plan is still the best. I did it for you. You've liked Dalen for so many years, but now he's married to another woman, so you shouldn't take it lying down. I don't want you to give up," Catherine said angrily. "Yeah, I never expected him to suddenly marry another woman." A faint trace of sadness could be seen on Victoria's face. "It's good now. As long as Linda doesn't like Lucia, there will be a day when I will separate them, and you will be Dalen's wife." Catherine was overjoyed at her scheme. Victoria thought about Lucia serving tea at Linda's house. "I was rather surprised that she would be willing to swallow her anger and be ordered around by a servant." Catherine laughed. "Haven't you seen enough of her? It is worth it to make sacrifices in order to solidify your position in a wealthy family." "I will listen to you. Whatever it is you ask of me, I will have no objections," Victoria said resolutely. "If I won't help you plan it, who else would?" Catherine said lovingly. While Lucia and Cole were eating, Lucia's phone rang. She picked it up and took a look. Lucia froze for a moment, the food in her mouth almost choking her. It was actually Dalen. Lucia answered, "Hello?" "Where are you? I'll pick you up," Dalen said. Lucia was shocked. "You're back?" "I'll be there in half an hour. We're on the plane right now." Lucia asked curiously, "You called me from the plane? Aren't you supposed to turn off your phone?" "This is a private plane," Dalen chuckled. Cole and I are eating lunch right now, and we're going to the office later." "No need to go to the office. Just wait there. I'll pick you up and we'll go straight back to the mansion," Dalen said. "Oh." After Lucia hung up the phone, she frowned. "What's wrong?" Cole asked. "Dalen is back?" "What horrible timing." Lucia curled her lips. "What do you mean?" Cole was confused. "When I was serving his mother in her house, there was no sign of him, not even a phone call. Every day, all I thought about was sending him a message to get me out of there. Now that I'm free, he's back. Don't you think the timing is suspicious?" Lucia asked. "It is indeed a good timing. It seems like whenever you're suffering, Dalen descends from the sky and rescues you from the abyss of suffering, then holds you tightly in his arms to comfort you. What a hero! You will definitely be moved to tears," Cole said affectionately. Lucia rolled her eyes. "He's not descending from the sky. He's riding on a plane." "It's just a metaphor. Don't you know anything about romance? Isn't that how the prince saved Cinderella?" Cole said. "Do I look like Cinderella? Also, I don't think that is the correct reference," Lucia said unhappily. "If you were to change Dalen's mother into a stepmom and his 2 stepsisters, it would be a fairy tale written by Cinderella." Lucia rolled her eyes. "You're paying for this meal." Cole's happy face turned ashen instantly. "Are you kidding me?" "Do I look like I'm joking?" Lucia asked seriously. "But you clearly said that you were the one treating me, and you ate so much more than I did. You have the nerve to make me treat you?" Cole asked. "What can I say? I'm shameless." Lucia nodded as she chewed. Cole knew that Lucia was being petty. His heart was bleeding as he looked at the messy plates on the table. It was going to be an expensive tab. Lucia ate slowly. When they were almost done eating, a black limousine appeared at the side of the road. The presence caught everyone's attention. The black car looked extremely noble under the afternoon sun. "Dalen is here," Cole reminded Lucia. Lucia, who was about to stuff more food into her stomach, raised her head and looked out the window. Sure enough, she saw that familiar car. And there was also the grand formation of bodyguards. Lucia wiped her mouth. Eat slowly. Are you going back to the company after you finish? I won't make you hurry, but I have to go. I'll leave first. With that, she stood up and left. Cole thought fiercely, Of course I have to eat slowly. After I finish eating all of this, I have to lick every plate to make the meal worth the price. Lucia had just gotten into the car when a powerful force pulled her in, forcing her forward. She fell into a sturdy embrace, and then her small mouth was caught in a passionate kiss. Even though Lucia knew it was Dalen, she was still frightened. Lucia's body trembled. She had no way to resist. Her body and mind were in a state of ecstasy. After a slight resistance in her heart, she accepted this kind of passion. Lucia's breathing quickened. Her face flushed. An uncontrollable groan sounded in her throat. Lucia and Dalen had never been separated for more than 24 hours before. The long-missed intimate contact caused her body to tremble with joy, and she knew she was unable to pull away no matter what. Lucia didn't know when she became so reliant on Dalen. When he wasn't there, she didn't feel his absence, but when he returned, she realized that she missed him deeply. After a long while, just when Lucia thought that she would die in this long kiss, Dalen slowly let go. Once they finally separated, Lucia collapsed into Dalen's arms. Her head was filled with a buzzing sound. As she pressed her ear against Dalen's chest, she felt a strong pounding in his heart. It felt so safe. Did you miss me? Dalen's coarse voice resonated in the car. Lucia now had a clear mind and said unabashedly, Why don't you say you missed me first? Did you miss me? Do you know how much you missed me? Dalen asked, without hiding the second meaning behind his words. This kind of straightforward question made Lucia's face turn red. She immediately retracted her hand, her face burning. Lucia leaned away from Dalen's chest. Why do you bully me the moment you return? Lucia said shyly. Dalen originally wanted to say something, but after seeing Lucia's face, words failed him. His eyes were filled with infinite depth. The atmosphere in the car became oppressive. Even though Lucia was trying to look away, she could still feel the intensity of Dalen's gaze. She looked up and saw Dalen's sullen expression. Puzzled, she asked, What's wrong? I'm fine, Dalen answered, although he was clearly concerned about something. Lucia thought, Did I say something wrong? Why are you eating at this time of the day? Dalen asked. I was hungry, so I came out to eat. Is there a problem? Lucia asked. Didn't you have lunch? Dalen was surprised Lucia would have skipped a meal. Yes, I did, Lucia lied. I didn't know you ate 4 meals a day, Dalen said coldly. Because I ate a little less at noon. What's wrong? You don't want me to eat 4 meals? Besides, I didn't pay for lunch this afternoon. Lucia thought for a moment and purposely said, If you can't bear to part with your money, then I'll spend my own money on extra food in the future. I can make money myself. It's no problem at all for me to support myself. I think there's a big problem, Dalen said. Lucia pouted. Of course not. You're looking down on my abilities. Dalen didn't say anything, but his expression didn't become better. Lucia didn't understand what was going on. Was Dalen really unhappy because she ate an extra meal? That wasn't quite the case. Although Dalen could be harsh, he was very generous with her in terms of money. He had been very friendly when she got in the car, but now his face was ice cold. This person's temper was truly unpredictable and unfathomable. She had offended him in some way, she was sure of it. Dalen remained silent with that stern, icy expression. Lucia ignored him and leaned against the window, watching the scenery go by. Due to the lack of sleep and low spirits, she quickly started yawning. Her eyelids drooped. It was as if her long eyelashes weighed 1,000 pounds. After closing her eyes, she didn't raise her head again. She didn't even realize when she fell asleep. After arriving at the mansion, she didn't wake up. When Dalen got out of the car, he saw her sleeping soundly. He carried her in his arms inside the house. Lucia was in such deep sleep, she didn't even wake up when he put her on the bed. She didn't even have the ability to roll over, which showed how tired she was. Meanwhile, Dalen's expression turned even uglier. He turned around and left the room and went downstairs. "Tell the two of them to come here." Dalen's expression was as cold as an icehouse as he instructed Spencer. After a while, Edward and John came over. They all looked at Dalen, who was sitting on the sofa with a cold expression, and felt very uneasy. They didn't know what had happened, but they knew something was definitely going to happen.